right, we got world champ Bobby Czyz in the building. Thank you very much, Bobby, for coming in. I appreciate it.
No problem, Tommy.
What do you got? 44 wins?
44 wins, 8 losses. I'm not happy about the losses, but I'm...
What, 28 knockouts?
Yes.
And a commentator? And you were the commentator for the Tyson Holyfield fight?
Yeah, I worked with Showtime for a little over 10 years, and I was actually the best job I ever had in my life. I mean, I loved it. I got to talk about something I'm an expert at, educate people, bring them sort of through the camera into the ring to get them to get a feel for what's going on and what's happening in the fighters' bodies, their minds and things. It was great.
Yeah, because when you do something you love, it's not work, right?
Well, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work.
But I still want to get paid.
Yeah, right. You still want the paycheck at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
So you were born in Orange County, New Jersey, huh?
Well, it's not Orange County. It's Orange. The city's Orange.
Orange, okay. Orange, New Jersey.
It's Essex County.
Oh, boy. Okay, I know of Essex.
I'll bet you do.
Yeah, I do. You have any brothers and sisters?
2 brothers, Vincent and Anthony, 1 sister, Maria.
Are they still in Jersey?
My brother Vince is in Jersey. My brother Tony's in Florida. My sister's in Florida, and my mom's in Florida.
So you got a lot of Florida people down there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's warmer.
Yeah, once you come down here and you feel the warmth, and you don't have to bundle up anymore. You know, I see friends up in Jersey and Philly, and they got the whole...
they're upset, and you're not getting a cold every 5 days down here.
Yeah. How was your upbringing? Like when mom, dad?
All right, this is going to be a little bit awkward. Born in Orange, New Jersey, not the good section. Lived there till I was 4. Moved to East Orange, once again, not the good section. We were poor. We did not have a lot of money. So I was the minority. I mean, I know what it's like to be the minority going to school. 35 kids in your class, 4 white boys, and that's it. The rest are black and Hispanic. And now I'm the only one that was tough. So now I gotta sort of, as I say in the street, I gotta represent, but I gotta fight everybody to make my way to wherever I'm going to be as respecting that class. Same in the street. It's a street rule, and I understood it. Then we moved to Wanacue. And nobody liked me in Wanacue because I had long hair. They all had their, the short butch haircuts from the suburbs, and nobody had the bell bottoms and platform shoes.
Oh boy!
And I was only 10.
Remember the bell bottoms and old pictures?
Yeah, when I got there, I was only 10, so it was a little different from being in the city. Being in an urban area and going to a suburb that wide open. Shock. A shock.
A little bit of a culture shock, right?
But the best thing that ever happened to me. One of the best school systems in the state, and it was a great place. Wanacue was an awesome place.
Now, as you're growing up kind of like in the street like that, you're learning to fight. Is it your love at that point? Like, are you in love with fighting, or, what's your...
Well, I wasn't in love with fighting per se, except that my father started training me when I was 4.
Oh.
He started teaching me how to hit a bag, how to get in shape. He made me go to the park room and run sometimes. And I did like the fact that I could handle myself so well that I had a name. And that was just local. It was just, we were talking about within like a 1 mile radius, the school system, and the kids on the street know that you don't mess with Bobby Czyz because he's gonna hurt you. And I liked the respect I got. As we moved to Wanacue, this whole new world showed up. There was baseball I could play, there was football I could play, basketball I could play, and I played them all and did well in all of them. But football was my thing. I wanted to be a running back more than anything. And my dad let me during the seasons take off some time from the gym because he forced me and my brothers I was 10, Vince was 9, Tony was 7. My sister wasn't even born yet, forced us to go to the gym. And we had to go to Patterson after school every day, go down to Patterson from Wanacue, about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and train every day. And then he would pick us up. My mom would go home after she dropped us off, get dinner ready, keep the house, everything clean, whatever. And my father's dream was to be a professional fighter. So he wanted one of his children to be to try to make it to a world champion. Now, being Robert Edward Czyz Jr., it's only apropos that I have his namesake that I be the one that does it.
Yeah, you're done for.
And but he was hard on us as kids. I mean, like brutally hard. There was like zero compassion. All of the discipline was through vicious beatings. I mean, today he would go to prison. That's how bad we got beat, and that's how bad that this system has changed around. So you can't even spank your kids now.
Yeah, well, you can't even tap them. If they go in and tell the teacher, you're done. You have the cops at your house.
Yeah, I'm right. And trust me, even my father was so violent and so vicious. Even the cops didn't want to come to my house till after he went to work, and then they come and talk to my mother.
Oh, they waited to come to the house till he left.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. So it must have been pretty rough, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was hard. But here's the thing. This is how I explain it to people. My father wanted, as soon as we were born, he wanted his boys to be men. Well, you got to go through being a child first and a boy, and got to go through some stages till you get there. But he wanted us to be little men immediately. And he kind of beat that into us, and it was his way, so it became our way. After 4 years of boxing, me and my brothers were given the release, if we will, that we could quit. My brothers both jumped on it. And at 15, I was 14, I was 5 years, yeah, I was 15. I was beating grown men in the gym when I was 15, and I won't lie to you, man. I really got off on that. I was like, wow.
It was like a high.
Oh, huge. I mean, I don't know. I've never done the drug, so I don't know how high you get with that. But this was the best drug ever.
Or like euphoria.
Yeah, it was like euphoria. These are grown men that are ranked in the top 25 and top 50 in the world and in the country, and it's not a problem for me. And I'm 15. I'm a kid. So I told my father, no, I want to stay with this. I'm going to turn pro. Now, I had 4 partial pre-med scholarships and a senatorial appointment to West Point. So my father said, you better be right about this. I'm going to give you 2 years to make 2 years to make your mark. You don't make your mark, I'm ripping you out of it, and you're going back to college.
And you knew he wasn't fucking around.
No, he wasn't kidding.
Now, when you were training at 15, what was that training session like? So, boom, he takes you to the gym.
Well, in the morning you get up. Now, don't forget, I got to be at school at 7:30 when I'm 15.
Right.
Because I'm in high school.
That's what I'm saying.
So so I'm up. Now I can't sleep anyway. I got problems in my head that I just can't. My mind doesn't shut off. But so I get up at 6 o'clock, say maybe 5:30, run 2.5 to 4 miles, whatever the training regimen called for that day, and get dressed, go to school, come home from school, get in the car. Mom takes us down to the gym, go to the gym, and train. Now, it could be any number of different. Back then, it was only 3-round fights. It's not like you were training for a 15-round fight or a 10-round fight. The enormity of the training alone will kill people. It's that brutal. But I did what I had to do. I did my training, did my sparring, did everything right, and lo and behold, here I am. I mean, it was funny. The first day of my turn pro, the first press conference, I'm like, what do I say to these people? So they started asking questions, and they said, Bobby, describe yourself. And I said, technically, I guess I'm the antithesis of the stereotypical fighter. And one of the reporters said, who talks like that? I said, didn't you understand me?
that's gotta make you feel good, right?
So I was like, well, now I became a phenom. And on top of it, I was white.
Yeah.
I was the minority in the boxing world, period. And then the poems came out. He's white, bright, and polite, but can he really fight?
White, bright, polite, can he really fight?
Yeah,
That's pretty
good. This is in the newspaper. These are in front page of sports sections, and I'm like, what do they have against me? And here's the funny thing. When people would come in the gym and they wanted to spar, if they were white, I would go, I'm going to kill him. I had the same prejudice because traditionally, that's the way it was. And I eventually I figured it out. And one of my dearest friends, Joe Greer, was also a fighter at the time, and is one of the guys. Without Joe Greer, I could have never done what I did. Tommy Parks eventually trained me to my titles, but Joe Greer put the soul in Bobby Czyz. They used to call me the white boy with soul.
The white boy with soul.
All the brothers. It was funny, but because I could move like them. They move different than white people. White people make a full body movement where a black or Hispanic guy goes, whoop, that's it.
Quick,
just separates his body a little bit and then kills you with the right hand or the left hand. And it was different. I would go home in front of the mirror in my room and work on 3.5, 4 hours, working on moves that I would watch Joe Greer do in the gym. And I would do it till I had it perfect. And then take it to the gym and then use it in the ring. And all of a sudden people would stop. The first time I sparred, now you have to picture this, I'm 10 years old when I go to the gym in September of 72. I trained September, October, November, December, January, February, up till February the 9th, the day before my 11th birthday, to spar for the very first time. I wanted to get this right because Number
That's
one,
crazy at 10, Bobby.
well,
That's insane.
well, people said to me when I was 10 years old, how long do you think it'll take before you're good enough to win a world title? I said, I think it's going to take me 14 years. Well, September 6, 1986, 14 years later, I won my first world title.
What'd you do it purposely?
No, I didn't do it on
I'm just
purpose.
kidding.
It was the first shot I had at it.
I know.
But when I trained this one time, and I'll explain it to you, I trained all those months for my first sparring session the day before I turned 11. And I was sparring this kid, Tony, in the gym. He was a little heavier than me, but I beat him up so bad that the trainer in the gym took him out. And he put another kid in, Jimmy, who was a very accomplished junior Olympic boxer. And I looked at my father. I was petrified because I knew he had gold medals and this and that, and he could fight. And on top of that, he was bigger than me and taller than me and heavier than me. And he'd been in the gym 2 years already. I was there for 4 months. I was first day sparring. I looked at my father, and he gave me that look, and he said, "You can do this." And he had that look, and I'm like, I'm more afraid of my father than anybody on the planet. Okay? So I get in there, and the next round's like a blur, but I had done so well, and that the whole gym stopped and gave me a standing ovation.
And again, you're only 11 years old at this time.
Day before my 11th birthday. That's the first time I knew I was special. That's the first time I knew this was my place.
And obviously, as we could see, it was.
And my father, like I said, after the years, he's let everybody else go their own way. My one brother's a writer, the other brother was a chiropractor, and I was a lowly fighter.
So now you train your ass off. You're trying your best to get an opportunity at the Olympics, right?
Yeah, we boycotted them.
Yeah, boycott them. Can you pull up that link of the boycott? And that was all about the Soviet, right?
Yeah, it was Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter in Afghanistan.
We boycotted it, and so I turned pro. Anyway.
But when they boycotted it, which is right here, so this is the 1980 Summer Olympics boycott, and you were going to make this, right?
I was going to go to the Olympic trials.
Okay.
But I decided, and my father was with me, he said, well, if you're going to go to the trials and you can only win the trials to not go to the Olympics, why not turn pro now? Turn pro early, start making money, and establish yourself. So I turned pro in April 24th, the first round knockout, and it was pretty exciting. And the crowd was pretty nice, and the total arena was like almost sold out on my first day, which was not usual. That's a little unusual. But I didn't realize back at the time that if I won, my first pro fight I made $200. It cost 4 times that to train for it.
But I'm sorry, but what was with the whole boycott, and then it happened again, and then the LOT Flight 7 happened, and you got in a car accident.
Here's what happened. Before the Olympic trials and things got canceled, the U.S. team, Lou Duva had fighters who got on the U.S. team. He got me on the team, and in March of 1980, I was supposed to fly to Poland, which my father was thrilled about because that's where our relatives come from, his side of the family. And in December 27th, 79, a couple of days after Christmas, I was going to my girlfriend's house, and it was a little bit late, but I fell asleep at the wheel. And I had a problem with the road mesmerized me a few times. I've had problems. And I drove off the road. I was 17, hit the tree with no seatbelt on, went face first into the steering wheel, busted my nose and my face up pretty bad. So it had to be set and everything, and well, this was December 27th. You can do the math. January and February, I can't train. I got my noses set for 6 weeks. I can't train. I can't get in shape to fight March, the first week of March, or the second week of March, overseas. And my father was furious with me.
Now, were you in a coma from this?
No, that was a totally different car accident.
Okay.
Anyway,
Wikipedia needs updated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me and cars we got a history. I was a passenger.
That's butchered, boy.
I was a passenger in that one. But
yeah.
I wasn't even driving. But it's funny because eventually, when I came home from school in March, my mother said, "Your father wants to talk to you." And I was like, I was always paralyzed because he never just talked about little stuff. He was about over the top stuff. So I got on the phone. I said, "What's up, Pop?" He said, that trip to Poland you're supposed to be on? I said, yeah. And I'm thinking in my head, he wants to rip my heart out. He said, they're all dead, son. And I was silent.
Pull up that link, Rob.
He said, they're all dead. I said, what do you mean they're dead? He said, the plane crashed. Every one of them died. Everybody on the plane's dead. They're all dead.
Can you read this, Rob? Because this is important.
I can't read it.
Because Bobby, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but...
Well, here's the thing.
How crazy is that, though?
You know, a lot of people know I don't believe in God. I'm not a religious person. So people say to me, wow, don't you believe in God now? I said, what? And he killed all those guys to make a point to me? That's bad math. That's bad math.
It's a good comeback.
God's not a mathematician.
Yeah.
It happens to, listen, coincidences are coincidences. They happen. Stuff happens.
I think just things happen.
I mean, stuff happens. Inexplicably, things happen. Sodium and chlorine. 2 poisons. If you take them separately, you drink them, you'll probably die. You'll throw up violently. Put them together, it's table salt, and you can't live without it.
Yeah.
So some things don't make sense at face value right away. You know, but so anyway, I still was anxious to get back in the gym, and I did, and I trained and turned pro, and I fought for a little bit of, you know, and then one day, Tony Ayala had broken his knuckle or something, hurt his hand. He couldn't fill in a show, so I filled in for him and got paid nice money like he was getting. I'm like, hey, this is not 200, not 400, this is 15,000. I'm making, if I do this 3 times a year, I'm making more than my father. So, you know, you get really picked up, and you get a little bit of a high, and now I'm a mainstream name. Now, if you say Bobby Czyz somewhere in the United States, they know who I am. I've been on TV, and it was special. I mean, I wanted to be special, and nothing. And trust me, this nothing short of winning a world title would have made me happy, because now I'm in the history books 3 times for 3 different world titles. Now I can't die, so now I am immortal.
You're like the robots that are coming, right?
Yeah, at least that's my thought process.
I just want Rob to read this quick because this is just crazy.
So it says on its final flight, the aircraft was piloted by Captain, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name, Lipo, and First Officer Lochaki. Flight 007 was scheduled to depart from Kennedy International Airport at about 1900 local time on March 13th, 1980, but it was delayed because of a heavy snowstorm. It finally departed at 21:18, and after 9 hours of an uneventful flight, it was approaching Okisi Airport at 11:13 local time. During their final approach, about 1 minute before the landing, the crew reported to air traffic control that the landing gear indicator light was not operating, and that they would go around and allow the flight engineer to check if it was caused by a burnt out fuse or light bulb, or if there was actually some problem with the gears deploying. And then this was the last transmission. 9 seconds later, the aircraft suddenly entered a steep dive. At 11:14:35, after 26 seconds of uncontrolled descent, the aircraft tripped a tree with its right wing and impacted the ice-covered moat of a 19th century military fortress at a speed of approximately 380 kilometers. That's 240 miles an hour at a 20-degree down angle.
Yeah.
And that was the
rough to wake up to that. Huh?
Well, it's really weird. Like every day after that accident, I go, I was slated to die. I mean, I was part of the group. And there was another friend I had too that didn't go. It was also odd that one of the fighters on the plane, Jimmy Clark, a heavyweight, he was always late. So late that they used to joke on the team. They say he should be so late he's gonna be late for his own funeral. He missed the plane because he was late.
And he's alive.
He didn't die that day, right?
Yeah. Now, when that happens, does that change you for the rest of your life, in your mind or your body?
You might think it would, but it didn't really. I believed I was destined. I believed it was my destiny to win a world title. But as fate would have it, I would win 3. So I never thought I was good enough to win 3 titles in 3 different divisions. I didn't think that much of myself at the time.
Yeah, when I saw that 3 different divisions, I mean, that's a lot of weight changing.
It's a lot, and I fought in 6 different weight divisions.
And each one you have to train differently.
Yeah, because your height becomes an issue.
Yeah, I boxed for a few years.
Your reach becomes an issue. Your durability becomes an issue. See, the one thing I had, I was always good. I was tough. Like I used to spar with Ray Mercer. Ray Mercer could hit like a mule. He hit me once with a right hand so hard, I thought a brick fell out of the ceiling of the building. I'm serious. He hit me. He was right in front of me. I couldn't see him. But then I slipped and I fired back. And he says, I hit you with the best right hand I ever threw. He said, you just didn't care. That's how I roll.
Now, when you become pro and you're taking hits like this, you know, and I know you spar. You know, I boxed for a while too. Never anywhere near.
You spar more than you actually fight. You get hit more rounds in sparring, training for a fight than you do for the actual fight.
As a professional, are you getting hit pretty hard when you're sparring?
Tons of times.
Okay, so they're not going light on you.
No.
Okay.
Just the opposite.
So that you're ready when you do get the massive right.
If you don't get pushed to your limit, and that's why sometimes we'll take 3 or 4 boxers to come. So that after one guy goes 3 rounds, you got another guy who's fresh to go 3. Now you got some of your gas tanks gone. You got to maneuver through it, and then there's a third guy. So it's difficult.
What was the toughest division for you, or not? Maybe not the toughest, but where you had to put the most work in.
I put the same amount of work every single one of them. I could never change. I have to give it all. Like there would be days after my dad had passed, I would come home from the gym, bleeding from my nose, my jaw dislocated.
Sorry to hear that, by the way.
And thank you. And I would fall asleep in my food, right in my plate. And my mother would come help me, and she'd say, "Son, why are you doing this? You're killing yourself." I said, "I have to, Mom. I have to be special." She said, "You're going to kill yourself like this. You can't do this. You got to quit." And I said, "You know that winners never quit, quitters never win. If I quit, what does that say?"
You gave up?
That makes everybody in the street and on the street corner and on all throughout the neighborhood, they're right. He's never going to make it.
And the people that look up to you, now you quit, you know?
I just didn't have any. I was actually not just taught but beat to never quit.
Yeah. You know, so from your upbringing, the way you were raised, it made you tough. It taught you how to take on adversity, is what it seems like.
Yeah, but see, now here's the difference. Like some people, I would say people beat. Like I got an award once from one of the Hall of Fames for being one of the toughest fighters of my time, and I get the award. And I jokingly said, "I'm not sure if I come by this award honestly, because my father beat me to be tough, but he beat my brothers to be tough too, and they couldn't take the amount of punishment I took in the ring. They just couldn't do it. They both quit. So I guess I just had the right combination of the little things I needed to, or the big things I needed to get it done."
Now, explain what the training is like when you're an amateur, and then you go professional. How much does the training change? I understand it's different
two
between
two different worlds. You have a 3-round fight. That's all the amateurs do, is 3 rounds. Okay, so you have 3 3-minute rounds. So you can pretty much, if you train really well, you can go all out for 3 rounds. Now, when you turn pro, it starts at 4, then it goes to 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 to 15, and now they take the 15. They're back to 12.
12, yeah. 15's insane. That's insane, man.
It is what it is, but it's that's why they call them the championship rounds.
Yeah.
These are the guys who really prepared the right way, have the mindset to not waste their fuel, waste the fuel that you have in your system. And the training is different because you have to think about the next couple of rounds, and maybe even more than that. You got to think about round 7, round 8, round 10, round 12, and that becomes an issue. And it's one of those things that stays in your head. You can't sometimes in the ring. You can't just go all out. When you get a guy hurt, you have to do it more efficiently. A lot of things go through your head. I mean, I can remember times I was in fights and I would hear somebody, I go, "I know, that's Joey. It's my friend Joey." I'd hear his distinct voice. I go, "He said he wasn't coming." And then after the fight, I would see him and say, "I thought you weren't coming." He said, "Something canceled and so I came down." But it's weird what you'll hear and what you'll think in a little fight.
Is that just like something to snap you out of it?
I fought a guy named, not to snap you out of it, but it's a good thing for me. Like I fought this one guy, Tim Brody, who was a big puncher, and everybody said I couldn't beat him, blah, 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 including Tim Brody. And I remember when I dropped him in the 4th round, I remember immediately flashing back to the tapes that I watched of him. He's going to put his hands up a certain way and lean on the ropes. This, and this will hit him cleanly and take him out. And I did. He went face first down, and he was out. Could have counted to 100.
How much more tape did you watch as a professional than an amateur? Because when I did Golden Gloves, my grandpa made me watch tape like forever.
You know why?
Well, then you learn where the weakness is.
Because you had tapes then. We didn't have tapes back in my day.
Okay, we had VHS tapes.
Yeah. We had tapes. We didn't know what the amateurs were, who was who. We didn't know who were fighting. They would just bring us out like in the AAU fights on a nightly thing. Yeah. Say, okay, they're fighting. That's it. You want to fight them? Yeah. You want to fight them? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You didn't even know who you're fighting until the day of the fight.
Wow. So you're walking in there blind. You have no idea what their weakness is, nothing.
Now, at the same time, if you're in a tournament, it's a little different because you know who won and who lost and who you're fighting the next day. And I was fighting for the welterweight division, It was the East Coast Regional and Junior Olympics. I was 15. I was 147. And I fought a guy from New York. I knocked him out in the second round with body shots. And then there was another guy who everybody was talking about. He was the buzz. He was from Boston. He's knocked everybody out. Knocked out like 13 guys in the first round. He was fighting this kid from Troy, New York, I think. Big, muscular kid. Didn't say much. Came in the ring. They came at each other. The kid from Troy beat the guy from Boston so bad. I mean, brutalized and bludgeoned him and knocked him out. And that's who I had to fight the next day for the title. And I looked back, and my whole team said, "Good luck, bro." I don't know what to say, but good luck. My trainer said, "Oh, listen, you're a better fighter than I ever was now. I don't know what to tell you." And my father just looked at me and he said, "We'll do this." So the next day, I woke up. My father started to warm me up for some things. And then he said, "You got it. You got it." I said, "Look, I know what." I said, "There's a formula that I'm going to follow. It's the only way I can beat him. He's too big and too strong." I mean, he was full of 147. I was 142. But he was muscular. I mean, he looked like a 28-year-old man. And so what I had to do, I had to incorporate speed and movement and duck and dodge and make him miss, make him get tired. So for the first 2 rounds, I don't think he ever saw me because that's how fast I was moving around the ring and hitting him, moving.
A lot of body shots?
Not that many body shots.
No, you're just wearing him out with the movement.
Yeah, a little more dangerous to go in there and that, get down in there.
Yeah.
And that's where he was strong. So after the first 2 rounds, he had to knock me out in the third round to win. There was no other way to beat me. And he didn't. And the third round was close, but I think I still won that round. And after the fight, they raised my hand. I got the gold medalist. I got another gold medal, a state gold medal, now an East Coast gold, regional gold medal. And he comes over to me, and he says, "You know what? I didn't think there was a 15-year-old on the planet that could beat me." I said, "Neither did I."
I still can't get over that. Around 15, man. He's throwing. You're fighting the best of the best at 15. In your division.
But they all were. I wasn't exclusive. They all were fighting the best to get to be named champion. So
now, when you felt maybe a little less confident going up against somebody, and your dad said, "We got this," was that like the thing that clicked in your head, like I got this, or in your mind you already had it? You didn't need his approval.
It wasn't. I always wanted his approval. I wanted his approval more than anybody's approval on the planet because. The only side of my life that I ever knew my father smiled in was from my fighting.
Right.
He wasn't a big Christmas guy, Thanksgiving guy, Easter guy. And quite honestly, from being a fighter, that's just another day in my life. It's another day, and if I can't train that day, I can't eat what I want. As a grown-up, I can't even have a glass of wine. I mean, it's a very restrictive day. I have to stick to my regimen. If I'm in training camp, I bring people with me. I'm not flying them home in and out just because it's a holiday. We're staying here.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way because you got like a violent, not happy father. But if you didn't have that, do you think
I'd never been a fighter.
You wouldn't have all this?
No, I wouldn't be who I am.
So it's a two-way thing,
Look, as I made the decision to turn pro, I made the decision to follow this through to the bitter end, and I'm happy I did.
Yeah. What's one fight that sticks out in your head that if you could go back, you would have done something differently?
Holyfield.
I figured that's what it was going to be. What would you have done?
I'd just gone another couple rounds. But I mean, like I said, I was worried about my father. My trainer was worried about my eyesight. I couldn't see, and that's really a little, that's panicking when you can't see and you're seeing blurry and your eyes are my actual the veins in my eyes hemorrhaged and started bleeding. My eyes. You think I'm not talking about blood. I'm not talking about a little bit of red eye. I'm talking about bloodshot red.
And you couldn't see.
Not well.
Yeah. And that one went, what, 5 rounds?
After the 5th round, yeah.
But you weren't physically worn out or dizzy or anything. Your eyes were
wasn't
just
hurt. I mean, I was a little tired. He was, he came at me with all he had, but I could stand up and I could have fought some more.
Yeah. And what's he at fighter like? Really, really good at that time? Did you feel he really had his shit together?
Oh, Holyfield?
Yeah.
He was one of the best in the world.
Who do you think's the best?
It's hard to say that there's one pound for pound guy is tough. I mean, a fighter of all time, you might want to pick a guy like Roberto Duran, even though he got beat a few times. He fought in 5 different decades, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000.
Yeah.
I don't know any other fighter who's lived that long.
Yeah.
You know.
And then, speaking of the Holyfield fight, so I'll let you say, because we were talking about earlier, how smart you are and how shocked that people, everybody all over the world are amazed. Mensa?
Well, yeah, it's.
I'll let you explain it.
I'm not supposed to be smart. I mean, I'm stereotyped. Like, there will be people that I know, and they say, man, you speak pretty well for a fighter. I said, so if I'm a carpenter, I speak badly? Or some people would say to me, oh, you're pretty good looking for a fighter. I said, so if I'm a doctor, I'm ugly? Why do you keep having to say for a fighter? Well, because that's what's been, in their head. Think about this. If you do a little history search, you'll find that the suppressed minorities of each era from Europe came here before World War I, before World War II. The Polish, the German, the Irish, those were the guys. Now that the Hispanics and the blacks are the minorities, they're the ones that rise to the top of boxing. It's the last stop. For me, it wasn't a last stop because, again, I have a brain and I can use that to make money and I can do other things with it. But it was my need to somehow be immortalized that's what drove me. It's the only thing that drove me. Honest to God, it's the only thing that drove me. It drove me insane that I know someday I'm going to stop living, be put in the ground, and I don't want that. I won't accept that. So now my mind, for forever going forward in history, in the books, I'm the world champion in 3 different weight divisions for X amount of years.
Can't beat that.
Can't take it away from me.
But the Mensa, when you walk out to the Holyfield fight, you're wearing a shirt that says Mensa. And Mensa is on, am I saying that right, Mensa?
Mensa.
It's only for the top 2% that score on the IQ test. And if you could elaborate on that.
It's a specific test, a number of tests they give you. If you haven't, like I scored 147 on a certain test, it wasn't acceptable to them. Their test, I scored 132. It was genius. It's the top 2% of the smartest people in the entire world, which is kind of a big thing. It's kind of a good thing.
Kind of a big thing?
It's kind of a good thing. But here's the funny thing. It's funny because my publicist who approached me, this in 1993, he said, I know you're smart and everybody knows you're smart and all that, the white, bright, polite stuff. He said, but have you ever tried for Mensa? I said, never heard of it. I'd never even heard of the organization. He told me what it was. I said, well, if I fall a little short, I said, that's going to be bad publicity. He said, no, I won't say anything.
Is that you there, Bobby?
That's me. That's me. So he said, well, we'll try. If you don't make it, we just won't say anything. So I set up to try it, and at the night before, I was out with a couple of friends having a few drinks and whatever, and then I went, oh, man, I got the test tomorrow. I got this, I got to do this. And
how late were you out?
4 or 5 in the morning.
How drunk did you get?
Not that drunk, but drunk enough.
You woke up with a hangover.
A little piece of one.
Yeah.
Not a full one. Not a full one. And I went and took the test. The first test was like 2 hours. The second one was like 2.5 or 3 hours.
I know
give you a half-hour break.
2.5 hours.
And they give you a break for a half hour in between. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you unequivocally, those tests gave me a goddamn headache. I mean, I walked out there and I went, what just happened?
Do you remember some of the questions that they ask or what they make you do?
Not specific questions, but they'll ask you relative questions to things. They'll ask you something that you might think is simple, but it's not so simple.
Like, give me an example. Don't ask me. Ask Rob.
Okay. One of the tests would give you like a test saying, okay, this person likes the number 16, but not the number 17. This person also likes the number 81, but not the number 80. This person likes the number 25, but not the number 24. Will this person like 49 or 48, and why?
What would you say, Rob?
I hate math. I hate numbers. I hate all of it.
The answer to it is
Jesus.
The number would be 49 because it's a square root numbers. All numbers are multiplied by themselves.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But
I'm dead.
But you got to pick up the patterns.
I only got hit in the head for 5 years boxing and 3 years playing running back. And I have no excuse. I'm a moron.
I didn't get hit in the head too much, and yeah, I'm not good with
He didn't get hit in the head much at all.
A little bit.
And he doesn't even know, so I feel better.
There you go.
Although you got hit in the head a lot and you just smoked all of us. Well, every 98% of the world.
Well, it's something I'm proud of, but it's
Proud of, Bobby. That's something to be insanely proud of. And on top of that, you beat the stereotype. You. Nobody else did that.
But well, they're asking one more. There was one more fighter named Henry Milligan from Princeton. But if you talk to him today, he slurs his words a little bit because of the repercussions of the punches to the brain. His body wasn't meant for it. Mine was.
You're Italian, of course you are.
Yeah, that's my Uncle Louie used to say all the time. He's got Italian blood in him.
Well,
You know,
anybody that could take the hits that you took, because I was you can't play YouTube on YouTube, or they give the money to the person. So if I play like 10 seconds of it, it goes to. If I play 10, which I don't care with you, but say I play somebody I don't know's video, even if it's 10 seconds, any ad revenue goes to them.
really.
Yeah.
See, I'm not familiar with all that stuff.
I wasn't either until I got a strike, or not a strike, a warning or something.
I am not mechanically inclined that well. Like, I can't fix the car. I can't do that stuff. And I'm not computer savvy.
Yeah.
If something's wrong, I got to call the tech. I get in there, and he does this little thing. It takes like 13 seconds. I just didn't know what to do.
Now, I can do computers, but swing a hammer, forget it. You don't want me putting anything together because it will fall right over. And actually, I won't even have the patience to put it together. By the time I put one wrong screw, I just punch the fucking thing, and that's it.
Like my car, I got to get the mechanic. Look, I can't do this shit.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. Never. I have no idea, and I have no interest.
Well, what I used to say, I used to tease my wife. She said, because I always used to say, I don't even cut my lawn. I know how to cut the lawn, but I didn't cut the lawn.
Me neither.
I had somebody cut the lawn.
I still don't.
I said, that's why I work. He cuts the lawn. This does this. This guy delivers the paper. This guy delivers the mail. I pay for that.
Bobby, I'm liking your thought process more and more and more. That's exactly what I say. I work so I don't have to cut the fucking lawn. So don't look at me like I'm some lazy guy or not a man because I'm not pushing a mower. No, I'm a man because I go to work. I'm not pushing a mower. It's not happening unless I absolutely positively have to.
Right. It's just, that's my thought process with regard to that.
I'm with you.
Some things I just don't want to do.
And I'm with you, and I'm not going to do it. I had a daughter. I said, look, I'm not changing my daughter's diaper. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it.
Now, there I differ from you. I changed, my daughter was born, I changed the first diaper. I have a picture in my wallet that I keep the day she was born.
Oh, but I hope Dominique doesn't hear that.
The day that she was born, I keep this picture in my wallet, and the day, and it's a picture of her beautiful face.
Bob, you're going to get me killed.
I keep the picture in my wallet for one reason.
It was the only diaper you changed?
No, I change them all the time.
You're killing me.
I jump in there.
Me. We're definitely not letting the one at home know that
it's
I'm just kidding.
Different thought process, same principle.
Mm-hmm.
But the picture in my wallet is that it always reminds me, I have to die before this child does. I have to take care of her so that nothing happens to her.
Yep.
Now she's 28 and very happy and getting married.
Is she?
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
I don't know the guy real well, and my life at some point in time with that one car accident I was in where I was in a coma had messed up my life for.
Yeah, tell me about that accident.
I was out with a friend, and we were out having a few drinks, whatever, and we had a friend of ours who was with us, and we paid him to drive us home because we didn't want to get DUI and blah, blah, blah. And I had already had enough of my own. So we paid him to drive us home. I was so tired I fell asleep in the car before they even took off. Yeah, because I was just tired. I was exhausted. I'd been on a 3-day run because I was down in somewhere down in North Carolina doing a special. And I came back up, got off the plane, we went out, and the driver fell asleep at the wheel, as it turns out, hit a tree doing 55. Now the car was my friend's car. It was a $158,000 Mercedes that the insurance had just lapsed on.
Oh shit!
And he totaled it. And I was on the back seat, and I didn't know. I didn't even know. I didn't know anything happened. And my friend woke me up and he said, "You're right." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You're bleeding." He said, "You broke your nose." I'm like, "Oh yeah, again." Like I broke it enough times in boxing, but I was bleeding all over the place. He took off after the guy because he just destroyed his car that was uninsured, and I blacked out. And the car burst into flames, and people were around watching. And somebody walked over to the car and said, "There's somebody in there." Then everybody went down there, cut the car open, did all this shit, got me out, medevaced me to Jersey Shore Medical Center, where they gave me 3 to 5 days to live. And they said even if he comes out of the coma, because they induced the coma, so I almost burned to death. And
wow.
Yeah, my back was burned from my shoulder blades to my butt. And I've healed so well you can't even barely see the scars.
Good for you.
And here's the ICU. I'm on life support and all that stuff. And they said even if he comes out of the coma, he said he's never walking out of this hospital ever. He's not, never. And then 2 weeks later, the doctor told me, this is him after the fact, because for 28 days I was in a coma. I didn't do anything except one time I punched one of the nurses. I don't know why. If I don't know why, I don't remember doing it. But
so you had the whole jaws of life come to get you out of the car?
oh yeah, the whole 9 yards, and medevaced me in, and the doctor said after 2 weeks, something happened inside you. I said, like what? I don't know. He said, but you started to heal on your own. He said, we had nothing to do with it. I said, I'm sure you had a lot to do with it. He said, yeah, but besides that, you would have still been in a coma. You still would have never been off this ventilator. I said, I don't know, I got good genes, I guess. My grandfather was in a coma when he was 17. He was born in 1906, and they told me he never lived past 45, 50, maybe 52. He was born in 1906. He died in 2007.
Wow.
100 years and 1 month.
You got strong genes.
That's what I attribute it to. You can't.
No, really.
You can't teach me.
No.
You can't teach anybody to be tough.
That's right.
They either are or they're not. It's innate.
Right, like when you're super fast, you can't teach speed. You can't teach, long hands. You can't teach long arms like
No.
Lennox Lewis.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and you just got strong fucking genes. I mean, between the car accident, the coma, the hits that you took, the stress that you've been through, doesn't even phase you.
You know what? It's funny too because of all things, my blood pressure got really high. It went up to 245 over 135. The doctor said you shouldn't even be able to talk. You should have stroked out. I said, do me a favor, fix it or put me down. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm throwing up all over the room. It's crazy. Then I had my medication, 25 milligrams. Then 2 years later, they moved it to 50. 5 years later, they moved it to 100. 11 years later, they moved it to 200. They said, listen, we can only double it one more time. It'll shut your heart off. That's good to know. Then I get COVID.
You got it.
Or allegedly get COVID. I get the flu.
Yeah.
See, I'll give you my rendition of the COVID thing in a second. But then I get the flu, which it only lasted 2 days, but my blood pressure went back to normal without the medicine. I don't know why.
So it's almost like the medicine was making the blood pressure go up.
No.
In a way, I mean,
it just wasn't stopping it.
Or was it stopping it?
It wasn't stopping it from going up. I mean, it wasn't stopping it enough. And then I got that 200 milligrams. That kept it under control to keep it to be normal every day.
Okay.
But like I said, they can only double it one more time, and that always worried me. Now my blood pressure is like 118 over 72.
That's perfect.
It's like being 18 again.
Yeah.
And
you feel good?
I feel great. I have some issues with my joints because of all the banging and all the years of running and all the grinding, but I'm all right.
And then you got COVID with pre-existing conditions.
Here's the thing about COVID.
Did you get tested and you had it, or you just think you had it?
No, I got it. But watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this. This is how much I love the government and the bullshit that goes on with them.
Sounds like you love them.
Yeah, I love my country. I don't necessarily love my government, and you're going to see how that gets broken down. But that's coming down the road. I was reading a story about this guy who threw a party in Canada, and I think it was Anastasia, Canada. He threw a party at his house. 2 days later, he got a $14,000, $15,000 fine from the court. So he went into to see the judge. And he said, what is this for? He said, nobody in my house got sick. He said, you didn't stay 6 feet apart and you didn't wear masks. He said, so what? Nobody got sick. So here's what he did. He didn't want to pay the fine. So he went to the Canadian version of the CDC. And he said, give me a blueprint of the COVID. They said, what do you mean? Give me a blueprint, a map, the disease. Show me the disease. Everything has a blueprint. He said, we don't have it. Call the CDC in America. He went to the CDC. They don't have one either. Nobody does. 9 countries in Europe got sued by people who were fined. All 9 of the people won because there's no such thing. Every year. Do you remember when you were a little kid? And you got a cold? Your mom said there's no cure.
Yeah.
There's never been a cure for the flu. Never. But there's flu season every year. Every year it gets cold and clammy and nasty. Excuse me. There's flu season. For the flu season, you don't lock people up. You don't lock people down. You don't make people stay in. You don't shut down their businesses. You don't call it a pandemic. It's the flu. And I remember Fauci says on TV, well, don't be so too upset, but less people die of this than the regular flu. Then why are you locking us down in our houses? Why are you cornering us off and doing all this bullshit? It was a ploy. It was a ploy. I'm not going to get into it. You guys will call it a conspiracy theory, but it was a ploy. Don't you know, this is funny, every year they took counts of how many people died of the flu until COVID came in. Then they only took COVID numbers. They stopped taking the flu numbers. And if you check, flu numbers are way down because they all still died of the flu.
Well, when they were going into the PCP, they would mark it as COVID so they get the kick from the insurance. In the beginning there, they were getting $7K from the insurance and then $3K from somebody. They were getting like 10 grand every time they coded it as COVID.
A friend of mine owns a funeral parlor. They had to pick up a body. It was a body of a young guy in his 20s who got decapitated in a motorcycle accident. State comes in, the coroner says he died of COVID. What do you mean he died of COVID?
That's what I'm saying. They
got his head cut off.
They get 10 grand for that.
The hospital's getting 50.
Is that what they get?
Hospitals were getting 50,000 for it.
I know for sure at the time earlier. I don't know about now, but when it first like came around, if you went to the PCP and the PC coded that it was COVID, you got $7K from the Fed and then $3K from.
You know how easy
they got 10 or 11 every time.
Do you know how easy it is to manipulate the PCP test? PCR test, I mean.
Of course it is.
The PCR test is a joke.
Thing.
You can really manipulate it to anything you want it to be. I mean, I've been around people. I have a friend of mine who's a metabolic doctor. He treats people with COVID through natural supplements every day. He's seen literally maybe 2,000. He ain't sick. He don't get sick because he keeps his health levels, his immune system up to speed. No problem.
Well, if you work out, you eat right, you take care of yourself, you take some vitamins.
You don't even have to work out. All you have to do is eat right.
Whatever. And then you take the Joe Rogan cocktail and you're good in 2 days.
Hey, I can live with that.
But you got it.
I got it.
How did you feel? And how did you know that you had it?
I felt like I had the flu.
That's it? Just like chills?
But they were mandated by the government to call it that because Joe Biden's and I don't even think Joe Biden's. I'm not even going to get into this. If I get into this all the way, you're going to get more. You're going to get 1 million calls tomorrow, and half of them are going to want to cut my head off.
And we'll be banned from Facebook. I mean, all of them. Facebook, YouTube. Fuck, where does it start?
But my point is, what's happening is if you go on the dark web and you look at some of the podcasts that are going on, and research and verify their information, you'll find that a lot of them are very, very right. This was a play on Donald Trump screwed up the protocol that everybody had in place. The Democrats have been screwing the elections up since the 90s. Easy. Fixing them. The algorithms. So Trump comes in with the army and they follow everything that the Democrats did in the first election, where he got so many votes that it broke the algorithm to cheat, and when it shut down their machines, and they came on and they didn't know what to do. So the second time when he went against Biden instead of Hillary, now they couldn't put Hillary in again because it wouldn't look good if she won after he crushed her the first time, right? So you can't do that. So they put in Biden, he's with the team, the bad team. They put him in. What happens? He's losing by almost astronomical amount.
Yeah, remember we went to bed and he was up.
Almost by statistical anomaly, he can't win. And he wins.
And they said that he had more votes than any other president in history. Come on.
He can't even spell votes.
They shouldn't even have said that because that just makes it even more.
Now watch this,
worse.
though. Watch this, though. See, the Democrats were in a hurry to get their plan done because they want to go to socialism onto communism. So that there's rich and poor and nothing in between. That's what they want. I know somebody's going to hate me for saying it, but it's the truth. Watch this. Donald Trump's not dumb, and neither is the military. So during the whole election, the 12 satellites he put in outer space filmed not only every election, every ballot box, it filmed all the ballot boxes that were out that people put in absentee ballots. He got all the people cold who are stealing his votes, and throwing in other votes. They also used a watermark with a radioactive isotope. Donald Trump got over 81% of the vote in that election. How does Biden win? Because they cheated.
Of course they did. Even whether you're left, right, in the middle, if you think that there was no cheating, you need your head checked. Nobody sitting here.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, he had a couple of rallies. he had 4 people. The biggest rally he had, I think he had 22 people at. And the rest of the time he spent in his basement. Now,
While Trump's doing 4 a day.
and had tens of thousands at every single venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some people say, well, that was just the people that came out, not the people who voted. The people that come out are the people that vote.
Yeah, if you were for Trump, you voted. You know, if you went to that rally, you voted. And
Plus, unless you're just sticking your head under the, in a hole in the ground, and you're just being loyal to your party, and that's your party. Like my brother is a Democrat, and he's still mad at me. He's still pissed off at me, and I told him, I said, don't get the shot. I said, this is all a ploy. It's all from them. He got the shot, his wife and my nephew, and they're all sick.
I bet they are. Not me.
Not a lot, but they're not feeling as good as they used to. See, this is how sick it is, because our government and our country and science has gotten so far ahead of us without telling us. And Big Pharma, the cure for cancer in the 70s that they bought, buried it.
Well, I don't think they'll ever tell us, no matter what the situation, because they don't want us to know.
Nikola Tesla had 6,000 of his patents buried because Big Pharma, Big Tech, they don't want that out there. They don't want electricity to be free.
No.
Why would you do that when you're taking in trillions of dollars a year?
Exactly right.
But with those trillions of dollars, you can get a lot of people to do a lot of stuff.
Fucking right, you can. You're not talking M or B or hundreds. You're talking T.
Right. Over 2,500,000 arrest warrants were issued in Europe. That's how many people are involved. I mean, this is insane. This is the most complicated sting operation in history. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Bobby, what do you think about these guys robbing Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, and they can take like up to $900 and nothing happens?
We should ask Joe Biden. He's the one who put the policy in place. Now they can't even be arrested.
How do you even come up with that policy?
Right. Well,
like, what's the policy? Don't arrest anybody who steals something for less than $900. I mean, is that actually
what is it?
Technically, the Democrats. See, this is it. The Democrats act like the Republicans are prejudiced. It was a Democrat who created the KKK. It was a Democrat from the South.
So they have a thing. It's in California for sure. A couple other places. Seattle's one of them too. If you walk into Walgreens, Walmart, and you steal $600 worth of stuff, they let you go.
Yep.
There was actually it was in the paper. There was a gunfight, and they call it mutual combat. And the cops left. Like they were running after each other, and the cops left. So like right now, if you were in California, and the number amount could be wrong, but it's something like 600 to 900 you can take, and they won't arrest you. You can Google that.
I think I heard that actually.
I've heard it too, and I've read it, but I'm kind of tired. I'm just tired of. Here's the thing.
Yeah, I don't even. You know what? I barely even watch the news anymore. Ever.
We're the modern day, with the sophistication of what we have, modern day Rome.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting heavy and everybody's getting lazy. And everybody, like there are kids that go to school that think that, well, my father's going to pay for my education. It's only $3 million.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, but eventually,
I didn't get the there was no $3 million in my house.
Eventually, that happens. What happened to Rome? It just crumbles. Eventually, if it continues the way it's going,
it's not going to continue.
It'll crumble.
Yeah. I watched some of
the good shows,
some of the dark web a little bit, and some other things. But here's the thing. The entire 2016 election, not the 2016 election, but the 2020 election. After the 2016 election, and it's the military actually asked Donald Trump to run. They came to him because he's a billionaire. You can't buy him. What are you gonna offer him?
That's what I liked about him. That you can't buy him.
Can't buy him.
So you don't have Goldman Sachs and everybody else.
Right, but he puts himself in a little bit of harm's way. They have had almost 100 attempts on his life in the past some odd years.
They're still trying to get him on Russia. They're still trying to get him.
Yeah, that's a Hillary.
Of course it is. It's the C. Just say C. You say C. The C's are behind it all. C and O. That keeps us safe.
No, we use a different set of terminology. That's a woman that can't understand normal thinking.
There you go.
And let the chips fall where they may.
And her husband takes a lot of flights.
Yeah.
He was on that motherfucker quite a bit there, buddy.
I couldn't even. You know what? I can't. I have a hard. I can wrap my head around a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I could wrap my head around a lot of stuff.
And we had the flight logs. Somebody came in, we had the flight logs.
I could wrap my head around a lot of stuff. But torturing and raping a child for the adrenochrome, I mean, torturing a child to start with.
You know,
Raping a child to start with.
just-
Never mind to take that from them.
that's hard for me to comprehend.
Like I said, I can't.
And I saw Lady Gaga was on that list. I saw a lot of names that never in a million years would I.
I saw a couple of movie stars on the list
Oh yeah.
that were friends of mine.
No, we have the list.
Oh.
I don't know where it's somewhere on that computer. We had somebody in that brought the real list. We had it.
I saw some people on there that I met and that I looked up to that I loved, and I used to whenever I was in Hollywood or in Vegas, I would hang out with them, and I'm like,
But you know what, Bobby? But who the hell knows what really happened? Some did, some did. Maybe just because they were on that list. Like I know somebody personally that was on that list,
they were.
and there's no fucking way.
Yeah, as I said, you would think they got film of all of them, every single one of them. Epstein, he had film, and Maxwell, they have films of every one of them.
What do you think they're doing with Maxwell right now?
I'm not. Well, what they're doing?
27 golf balls in her mouth with duct tape and tied to a wall, and you get a glass of water at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. And if you're a good
She's giving up people left and right, and they're just trying to squeeze out every last drop that they can. So then instead of being executed, she'll spend the rest of her life in prison. Those are your two choices. I got news for you. I'd rather be dead.
Me too.
I'm not going. I mean, but I'm not going to do anything.
Well, they want that info,
right, but I'm not going to do anything that insane.
Epstein was an idiot, so you know damn well he had backup on top of backup on top of backup.
They have so much information that it's beyond, not beyond a reasonable doubt, it's beyond all doubt.
And there's no way that he killed himself. There's no possible way.
He's still alive.
Of course there was no way. That could never happen in a facility, and other people that have been in those facilities will tell you, no way, no fucking way. Whitey Bulger thing, that's a different story. But this, no way.
I don't think so myself. I mean, look, we can't. It got to the point where, like I said, there are things that the government's keeping from us. I heard a story that I'm afraid to even talk about. That there are actually people right this second on Mars that have never seen the Earth, that were basically bred up there. Now, call me a little bit conservative, but how do you keep that from the whole country?
I don't think.
How do you keep that from the whole world?
I see that one I can't buy into.
I know, but
It's that I'm into the conspiracy stuff because a lot of
I get it.
A lot of it's true, but they call it a conspiracy because they don't want you to know
I'll
it.
give you something else to think about. 1969, we landed on the moon, or whatever. Now, I have heard from more than one of those astronauts, and I heard one interview, an excerpt of an interview. I think it was Buzz Aldrin, said that one of the astronauts went to the other side went to the dark side, and was told not to come back. Told by who? Yeah, exactly. How come nobody's ever gone back to the moon to check out the other side? The side that always stays out of the sun, the side that you have no idea what's there.
It's a good question. Never thought of that.
But think about it. If you can get to the moon, which we did, we got to the moon, why would you not go to the other side? Check out the whole planet. See what's going on up there. There's stuff going on the other side
That they don't want us to see.
They don't want.
That's what you're saying, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They don't want to be. First of all, they don't even want to be bothered by us to start with. That's why I told them to don't come back.
And the whole thing is, even if they did come out, could society, like you, me, Rob, we're all into this kind of stuff, which I think is very interesting with you as well. But normal society wouldn't be, if they knew, let's say what we think is true. If normal society
can't take it,
they couldn't take it.
I'll tell you exact one fell swoop. There were two aliens after World War II that went to the White House and sat down. Who was in the White House after in 45?
I wasn't even thought of then, so I don't know.
Well, my mom was only one, and my dad was two. They were both one. They were both one, so I wasn't thought of either. But after World War II, there were allegedly two aliens that were. Then they found a way to communicate. They found a way somebody found a way to translate some of the language. The first thing that the president asked, "Do you believe in God?" They both said, "What's God?" So they explained to him what it was. They went, "No." That's the part that's going to hurt the human race the most, if it ever got out. That think about it. If aliens can get here and we can't even figure out where they're coming from, they have to be more advanced than us.
Well, if they can get here, period, they're
Right.
more advanced than us.
They could basically starch the whole planet if they want to.
Right. We talk about it all the time. Like, it could be a simulation. You know, they could have threw seas
Think about it.
down. They didn't like it. Ice Age. Didn't like that. Ice Age.
In 1980, I graduated high school. I was 18. Straight A student, pretty much graduated 6th in my class with honors, blah, 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 blah. In 1980, I could tell you for a fact that there are only 9 planets in the universe. You know why? That's all we could find. That's all we were taught. They were only that's because they were in our galaxy, but we couldn't see further out. Now with the Hubble and the space telescopes and satellites, we can find millions.
Oh, yeah. You go to Chile. You go to Chile, you can see everything.
Yeah, technically. And
well, what you can see through the matter, I guess.
By statistical anomaly, it's impossible that there's not intelligent life forms on many of those planets. Maybe not like ours, but intelligent life forms. And if the parts of those podcasts I watched were right about what's going on now at the North Pole and South Pole, I'm just not sure what to think of it.
Well, you have to think evolution's undefeated, just like Father's Time is undefeated.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean,
it is
whatever you believe. I mean, if you look at a wolf and a dog and you don't see a similarity, I don't know what we're looking at two different things then.
Well, they're technically two different things by definition.
By definition, but
they're in the same family.
Then you take a lion and a cat, or a tiger and a cat. If you don't see a similarity, then you tell me, and that's not considered evolution. Then you tell me what the hell it is, because
And here's the thing.
Again, that's fact. You can see that with your own fucking eyes. A tiger looks like a fucking cat. A wolf looks like a fucking dog. A monkey looks like a gorilla. Or a gorilla looks like a... Either way, they look similar. That's just, evolved. Adapted.
It is what it is.
Anyway, back to boxing. Before we go down, we'll do
another time.
We'll do the wormhole with the champion Bobby.
Well, that's
because you and us three
I
could go down this wormhole with the universe.
Right, but
we'll be here at 19 hours.
The only thing I'm upset about, and I believe the wormholes exist.
Absolutely,
no problem. In the premise of it is simple and yet complicated. But here's the thing: when you go in, you can't pick where you come out.
Yeah.
It could come out in 1947 or 3030.
Who the hell knows we don't know.
Or we might not come out.
Or you might not. You're going in there blind, basically.
I'm not going in there at all.
It's like you're going in to the ring at everyone's prime, but you don't know it. You got Muhammad Ali in one corner. You got Tyson in his prime. You got Holyfield in his prime. Yeah. You got Joe Frazier in his prime. And you're walking in there blind to fight all of them at once. That's what that's like.
Yeah, I mean,
how would you like to walk into that?
Nah, I can live without that day.
So you box, you can hit like a motherfucker. I wish we could play the videos on YouTube, because god damn, you can hit. Man,
I was taught,
and I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just telling you.
I was taught to do the right thing, and in my job, that's the right thing.
And then what's crazy is you started commentating, and you're commentating while you're still boxing.
Well, here's the
including
thing.
The Holyfield fight.
It was, I was a fighter who could literally
with the brain,
right? Well, with the brain, and but also I didn't have any puncher's dementia that I know of. There could be some hidden somewhere. I hope it doesn't sneak up on me when I'm 70. But I could speak clearly to the people and identify different things. And my job was to sort of bring you through the camera, through the TV and the camera, to ringside with me and explain to you what's going on, why it's going on. You could see what's going on. So-and-so's hitting him all the time, but why? Because he's missing a punch, he's not blocking a punch, or he just doesn't care, he's walking through the punch. There's a lot of different things that apply, but I could do it in language that normal people understand instead of gym terms.
Yeah.
And the fighters go off the gym terms.
So you can simplify where the everyday person can understand it from a fighter's point of view.
It's funny. I was out with my wife in a nightclub and restaurant that I used to go to a lot, and these 4 women started walking toward me, and I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, which one did I sleep with? Oh, God, which one?
Oh.
This is going to be a bad night. This is going to be a bad day. And they come walking over, and the one girl goes, "Are you Bobby Czyz?" I said, "Yeah."
Maybe.
Yeah, I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, me and my girlfriend just want to say thank you." I said, "For what?"
I get you. What are you thinking? Uh-oh.
No, I don't
boy.
know. I don't know.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, whenever they have the big fights on, instead of everybody paying $59.95 to watch the big fights, we all go over one house and we have a party. And we like football. We don't really understand things, and you help make all of us understand it so easily. We don't have to ask our boyfriends and wanted to thank you." And my wife thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that is
And
cool.
I thought it was cool too. I thought I was in trouble.
Now, again, you're still fighting and you're commentating.
Right. But fighting is the priority. So when I'm not commentating, I may miss a fight that when I'm in training, just miss the fight and somebody else. Freddie Pacheco was there, so there's always backup.
Then in the middle of that is your Holyfield fight. It goes 5 rounds.
Right.
You hit him hard. And what did he tell you later on in life?
Well, he wasn't him. I was told he in an article that he was interviewed, he said if I had gone one more round, he was going to quit. He said he just wasn't his day. He was done. He was burnt out. And I heard from some state troopers that what was used on my gloves was Tabasco sauce, which upset me. But no one ever heard that. No one ever saw that. No one ever. Here's what bothered me most. When they tested the glove, first of all, they lost the gloves for 48 hours before they tested them. That's already, the chain of custody is already broken. Then when it comes back, they said they were inconclusive. There's no such thing as inconclusive. There was either just Vaseline and water on the gloves, or there were chemicals on the gloves. If you found no chemicals, there's no chemicals.
So if it's inconclusive, what would they? They would score the fight as a draw?
No, inconclusive means everything stands the way it was.
Oh, it stays.
Inconclusive, nothing changes.
You would think that would be a draw, right?
No, inconclusive means we do it again. Now I know if we fought a second time, he would have trained and he would have beat me. I know that. Don't have a problem with that. But again, the same way you never get a second chance to make a first impression, you never get a second chance for a title like that. Again, well, not a title, but the title of beating Holyfield, one of the greatest heavyweights ever. Who knows?
Well, I think that goes for anything in life. You only get one first impression. That's it. Whether it's business, boxing, anything.
One first shot.
That's it. Because that always sticks with people. I learned that in business real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Real fucking quick.
It happens especially in business.
So then you fight him. Then you commentate the first fight with Tyson.
Right.
Now, how was that?
Weird. A little weird because I can't relate it to myself. It has nothing to do with me anymore. At the same time, here's what I found out. After the fact, Mike Tyson saw the fight with me and Holyfield, saw that Holyfield was done. He didn't train for the fight as well as he should have. He didn't train full out. And here's the thing. Shame on you, and Vince Lombardi said it best. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. If you're so tired that the lactic acid in your muscles are burning you, you really can't use them. You really can't.
Yeah, you're burnt out.
It's everything hurts. It hurts you more to hit him than it will even, to take the shot.
And then you also commentated the fight with the Tyson Holyfield fight when he bit his ear. Now, what was that like?
It's the very first time I was speechless when somebody asked me a question. I didn't know what to say. I said, I have nothing to relate this to. Although I was bit once in one of my fights, my second pro fight. Guy bit me in the shoulder because I knocked his mouthpiece out. But he bit me. And I just beat him up, and no big deal. But no, it never became an issue, and I wasn't famous at the time, blah, blah, blah. But, the second fight.
Well, take me through the fight. So you're watching the fight. Tyson's coming in. They're fighting. Let's go like round by round.
Well, see, here's what Tyson didn't make mention of. I think you'll probably know this if you're watching, that Evander Holyfield elbows and forearms people a lot. Did it to me too. Elbowed me right in the face. And I'm no Boy Scout. I mean, it's not that I wouldn't be. There wasn't a time that I didn't hit somebody with an elbow. Sure.
Did he? I've seen him try to headbutt a lot too.
Yes, that too. He does it. He does it quite a bit. But he gets away with it because why he gets away with it? Because after the fight he says, "Praise the Lord," and I'm giving this to God.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, whatever. But he gets away with it because he just does. I don't know if it's somebody that they just like him, or as long as he has the title and there's more money for him, or I just don't know. But excuse me, Mike was very upset about it, and it's like that. It's gone away.
Okay, so the fight starts. So how does round one go from your perspective as a fighter? Because we had a big house party. Like you said,
Yeah.
like one of us would get it.
Oh no, I've
and
had
everybody-
people actually off after me, pay me $2,500 a night just to host the night. Come to their house with all their family and their guests and host it, and get my commentary and my
That's insane.
input.
So when I was 19, 20, you were commenting on, or however you say it.
92.
You're the one with the 2% in the world.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But I had, and here you are sitting across.
Well,
from me.
with the first fight, I thought was going to be interesting because they have here's two big names, two monster fighters. Somebody has to set the tone. By the tone, I mean this: if Mike is able to walk Holyfield back and corner him and bang him to the body and work him on the inside, he sets the tone for his style to win. If Holyfield can keep him off with the jab, throw some combinations to keep Mike Tyson at a distance, which is not effective for Tyson, he sets the pace, he sets the tone. That's good for him. So what I did was speak a lot about that. I don't remember the specific words I used for each different, just how I say, definition of this, that, and the other thing. But that's what it was. Mike had to come to him, had to work on the inside, had to throw uppercuts. I don't think he threw enough, but a lot of things he didn't do enough of. But again, he got upset with the elbows and stuff that he complained. And here's the only issue I have. He said after the fight he didn't remember biting his ear off. Now, I understand that. Here's how come I understand that. I got a point taken away from me once for forearming a guy in the face. I'm like, I did no such thing. I went back home and watched the tape. My own fight. I hit him right in the face with a forearm. I don't remember ever doing that.
See, and I could see that because of the adrenaline.
It's the adrenaline. It's what I call situational.
It's almost survival, right? Your body goes into a survival tactic. Like, say 10,000 years ago, a tiger's coming after you, or a bear. You go into like survival mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when you forget something, or you don't recognize something, it's a situational or performance blackout. I call it situational and performance blackout. You just don't remember doing it. You just did it. Your body just sort of did it. Your brain was involved, but it didn't register it. And I went home and watched the tape, and I hit him. And I went, son of a gun. I hit him right square in the nose with my forearm.
So you can see why Mike would have said, I don't even remember doing it.
Here's the thing. Mike bit him twice. Mike didn't bite him once.
Maybe you forgot the first one.
Mike bit him twice.
Yeah.
And here's the other, and even when he bit him twice, watch this, what he did on the second. First time he bit him, he just bit it really good and hard. So he made sure he bit him, and he made sure he knew he got bit. The second time he bit him, and then he tore the earlobe off and spit it on the floor. He made sure the earlobe was separated from Holyfield's body. To me, that's two infractions. One to bite, the other to tear. That's two infractions.
Pretty easy to do, though, to tear it off. The ear would be the easiest part to tear, though, right? I mean, to rip and just,
you'd be surprised. The cartilage is much more difficult to...
Really?
Yeah, your muscle, easier to slice through.
Oh. I would have thought that.
So now from...
The cartilage is rough.
From a, an outsider view, watching it, when I was... And I actually do remember that entire fight. I remember there was a ton he was headbutting the fuck out of him. He was headbutting like crazy, more than I've seen him do prior to that.
And look, Holyfield does it in a slick sort of way and gets away with it. And why, I don't know.
And Holyfield's a hell of a fighter. I'm just saying, in that fight...
He's a great fighter, but he elbowed me a couple times in the face. Whatever you do, what you got to do. Like I said, I'm not a Boy Scout. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing.
So do you think that's why Mike did that? Being that you're there commentating.
He did it. He complained about it, and the referee did nothing. He said something. He made some comment about it with his elbows. Stop elbowing me. Some whatever. I don't know. I don't know I can't tell you what was going through his mind. I'm not sure he can.
Do you think that if the referee would have said something to Holyfield like warning or take a point away, and the headbutting stopped and the elbowing and everything else, do you think Mike would have won that? The second one. Do you feel from a fighter's point of view, a champion's point of view, was he ready for the second one?
As good a pugilistic prognosticator as I like to think that I am.
Ooh, that was a big one.
I like to think that I am. It's very difficult to think and understand where they were with conditioning, where they were in scorecards. I mean, I'd have to get back to the scorecards. I'd have to be. And again, if Holyfield can box, and he was winning some of the early rounds with good boxing and outside stuff, without the headbutting, without the frustration, hard to tell. And at the same time, just one of Mike's punches could level a building.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
What was it like to see Tyson punch in his prime, and
Oh,
being in that life?
Me and Mike became friends. He actually invited me to his home for one of his birthdays, and I was up there with a young lady, and it was my date. I was just separated from my wife, and we were up there. And interestingly enough, and I never heard this, and Mike was upstairs, and he came down. Some people gave me a hug, and he had people dancing all over his house. He had the whole big giant, it was a monstrous mansion, all decked out, and so you had security guards with guns at every step. And then after we left, the girl said to me, "You know what Mike did?" I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, he didn't do anything silly." 'Cause then I got to go in there and get my ass kicked. She said, "Mike came over to me, and he said, 'Listen to me.' He said, 'You see all these people? They're not really my friends. I know a lot of them are invites from my manager and my lawyers and people that they want here.' He said, 'You're with the best guy in the building. He's a solid guy. He's a stand-up man, and he's a great fighter, but he's the best guy in the building.'" I was like, "Whoa, shit. Don't I feel good?"
A hell of a compliment, huh?
One of the nicest compliments I was ever given, and he didn't even give it to me. He said it to her, because she was sitting by the ladies' room waiting for the ladies' room.
And if a man is complimenting another man to a girl, he actually means it.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
There is no other.
That's the lie detector test.
Yeah,
right?
there's no reason to say it.
You don't say it usually, right? Unless you
Yeah.
mean it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you think he was the hardest puncher that ever boxed?
I'm not sure, but Rocky Marciano actually had his punches measured. He threw his punches into a machine that could generate how many foot-pounds per square inch that he could generate. His best right hand, listen to this, his best right hand could deadlift, deadlift a 1,000 pounds, a foot in the air. His best punch, his single best punch could deadlift 1,000 pounds, a half a ton, a foot in the air.
So would that mean that when he punches as hard as he can and he connects, you're getting hit with 1,000 pounds?
Well, that was
force.
That was Rocky Marciano.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I'm sure that Mike Tyson might have been able to generate, because he was heavier, bigger, and a little quicker sometimes. Not that much quicker though, because Marciano was deceivingly quick, and he's sloppy in his he looked sloppy in his defense, but it wasn't. He was blocking the shots and setting you up to get hurt. I don't know, and I don't know if they've ever taken any tests or done it, but Rocky Marciano in his prime weighed 186. You could deadlift 1,000 pounds a foot in the air, 186. Mike was like 218, 215. It's a different division altogether. I mean, there's no cruiserweight division back in Marciano's days. Anything over 175 was a heavyweight. So if you weighed 182, you were a heavyweight. Now you're not even a full-blown cruiserweight.
Wow. Yeah. But when you say that, that means, for example, when he hits as hard as he can, that's like 1,000 pounds going at your head.
Well, right. Look what Rocky Marciano is when he knocked out Jersey Joe Walcott. One right hand.
One.
That's it.
Yeah.
Several.
Did you ever see that clip? One. Just
shot.
one.
His left hook, the same thing. The same thing with the left hook in the second fight, in the first round. One shot.
I didn't think he dropped him with that left hook, but I watched the clips. I used to have to study him when I was going for Golden Gloves.
I studied them because my father made me study.
My grandfather made me. It's crazy. So now you're commentating. You do that for a while. You commentate for a while, and you really loved it.
A little over 10 years.
What was, other than the Tyson fight, with Holyfield, what was the favorite one to commentate? The most entertaining one to you, other than that?
You know what? I don't think
that was even entertaining.
I don't think there was a single one, because there were so many good fights. They had so many good fighters back in the day.
Boxing was the shit then, man.
I mean, back in the day, you had Julian Jackson, who was banging people out left and right, and you had a whole host of other punchers. Ricardo Lopez, who was only 105 pounds, but just an amazing fighter. I just couldn't pick one.
Too hard.
Too hard.
Now, when these fights come to unanimous decisions, how rigged do you think this shit is? You're in that life. I mean, you would know better than anybody.
Here's how it went in the old days. In the old days,
And yet, old days from when to when?
50s and down, when they fixed the fight,
50s and prior. Okay.
50s and prior, you would go to the favorite, say to them, listen, here's $100,000 in cash. You're going to take a dive. And the mob sometimes was just trying to kill you. That could happen too. Give you a great example, and I'm sure you remember the fight. It's the second fight with Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston. That fight, that was fixed. If anybody tells you otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about, or they're just stupid. Sonny Liston was one of the toughest men on the planet, and that semi-right hand that Ali threw going in reverse, with a little that tap that didn't even actually hit him, knocked him out. No, he was told to go down in the first round, and I happen to know some of the people who know the people who threatened him. So I know some of the people in the street back in Newark that knew the people who were involved with him. They were out of New York. Enough said.
Period. Right?
Enough said. And look, that used to be part of the game. Nowadays, here's how you fix it. If you're a promoter and you know that your the fighter that you have the promotional contract with, this is where you want your money. This is making your money. If he loses a close fight, he wins a split decision every time, because the judges all know who's supposed to win. The judges are instructed ahead of time. This is where the lean goes. I can't prove it, but I guarantee you it's happening, because there's no possible way that the indecisions could be that atrocious. No, I'm not blind at all. When it comes to fights, I'm fair. If it's a friend or it's somebody that I like and he loses, he loses. I lost. What the hell?
Now, I'm not saying this for any other reason. Do you think some of the unanimous decisions that you had were wrong?
No.
Do you think they're right? I
don't think the unanimous decisions were wrong. I don't think the split decisions were wrong. I think my career was based on what I did, my work. Now,
good for you.
You
should be proud of that too.
Well, thank you. Here's the odd thing out. I mean, 3 judges usually, 3 different parts of the ring. So what one judge can see, the other judge can't see sometimes, with punch-wise.
That's insane.
And so that sometimes is one of the judges gets to see more of the work if it stays on his side of the ring. So that's a little bit,
Assuming they haven't already had the talk prior to the fight.
Well, yeah, that's assume we're talking on this. Yeah,
Yeah.
Everybody's on the up and up.
Yeah.
That's a little awkward, and at the same time, where else can you put them? You can't put them anywhere else. You covered 3/4 of the whole ring. Now, if you have 4 judges, okay, then but you still have where
you're still blocking views.
Still 2 people are going to be blocked out for some of it, but you can anticipate certain things with certain fighters, and like if a fighter's backs to you, his head goes like that. It's whiplash. He got hit with an uppercut.
Right.
So that's a punch landed.
Now, Bobby, if you could restructure where the judges are, I wanted to ask you this. Where would you put them? Or it wouldn't matter, because I was trying to think last night, where the hell would you even put them where they could get all view?
They're putting the most efficient space they can be in. And
you'd have to have a monitor.
And they're right on. Well, that's just it.
But that doesn't really show.
The monitor's worse. See, I have watched fights in person. I watch fights in person. I go, okay. And I'm going to go home and watch a replay. On the replay, now here's the 2 things. On the replay, sometimes you didn't get the real feel for what was going on, the punches that were hit, the body shots, and how badly debilitated a certain fight. You didn't get to see it the same. They look like a different fight. I saw Rocky Lockridge fight Eusebio Petroza, and at the time, watching it live, I thought it was like really close, maybe like a 1-point thing. I went home and watched it on TV. Now, here's the other thing about TV. The announcers tend to influence you.
Oh, yeah.
Which I never wanted to do. I'm telling you what you're seeing and why you're seeing it, and that's it. But there are guys that shade it to a certain way. I remember calling Freddie Pacheco out once. I said to him, and he was one of my partners on Showtime, I said, when Simon Brown fought so-and-so and this and that, and you just kept giving him rounds that he didn't win. And I thought to myself, what are you looking at? You know what he said to me? He said, before the fight, I thought he was going to win the fight, going on a runaway. That I just read. That's what I talked in my commentary. I just basically transmitted it through my speech. I'm like, Yeah, but what about your eyes?
Like he believed his own beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
What about your eyes? What about what you were seeing?
That's
And everything's different.
now when you were commentating, were you keeping score yourself? Like were you?
Keep score. Oh yeah, sure. I have to.
Now, when did your scores match a lot of the outcome scores?
Sometimes. And anytime my scorecard and scorecard of the judges was off by a lot.
Don King was involved.
Don King was involved in every promotion. He had a contract with Showtime, and
so then every card was off.
Only in America. Only in America.
You know he brought life to boxing.
Not only that, but he's a brilliant promoter.
Fucking right he is.
He's a brilliant promoter. Matter of fact, there was a time when
Who's better than Don King at promoting? Nobody.
Not in boxing.
He's got the look. He's got everything.
Well, he jokes about it. I'm the big black guy. I'm a bad guy. I'm going to make everybody crazy. I steal this. I steal that. He's fun. But you know what? He was fair with me all the time.
Was he?
I won my first world title with him.
With Don King?
Yep.
Wow.
And nothing dirty?
Nothing. That's not a single thing.
Is he as dirty as they say he is and I'm just completely wrong?
I don't know. How would I know?
Because you're a champion.
He never came to me with anything. So I could never definitively say this is what he did. Now, I can tell you, and I can tell you this unequivocally, the sanctioning bodies are run by people who are presidents that all talk to Don King. And I remember one time where there were a couple of networks and a couple of promoters who approached me about a fight, for a cruiserweight fight, that they wanted me to fight Terry Norris's brother, Orlin. And nobody bid on the fight. Nobody bid on the fight. It didn't seem to be a good fight for them. So one of the promoters said to me, "Look, if you can get the WBA to give you a pass to not fight this fight, we'll take you to this fight. You fight Donnie Lalonde, you'll make this $250,000, blah blah blah. But you got to get an exemption from the organization, the WBA already. I think it was the WBA, not 100%. No, it was the WBC. So I called the WBC. And I said, I'd like an exemption because no one bid on the fight. None of the promoters bid on the fight. Nobody bid enough for it to be a fight. You know what he said? Send me a check for $10,000. You got your waiver. Really? No shit. Oh, so I can do this all the time, as long as you want. Okay. So I sent him a check for my promoter sent him a check for $10,000, and I fought Daniel Lalonde, and everybody's happy.
And that was that.
And that was that. And I went on to blah blah blah. So eventually I got hit by a car, and that caused my back to be put out, and I was off for a year, and it was a terrible time.
You're like a cat. You got like 9 lives.
More than 9.
Well, I mean, we know of 5 already.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to be dead, literally dead.
We know of 5 in an hour, you know what I mean? And that's just off the top of your head.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Well, you should be, and then you've accomplished a lot. Now, I want to ask, what do you think of Floyd Mayweather? And I ask you this because, to me, he's the best defensive boxer I've ever seen. But I'm no Bobby.
Here's the thing.
So I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Well, here's the thing. I think Floyd Mayweather Jr. is an awesome fighter, offensively and defensively. But like I said, the one fight he had with Ortiz, he got beat. And guess what? He won a split decision. Ain't that some shit? Because it destroys the aura of invincibility immediately if you lose. Now, he's a great fighter. He's a better fighter than I was. I give him that. I never take that away. But, even if he had a bad day, still a greater fighter than I ever was. But he lost that day. So that says something about taking somebody and not giving a fighter a fight that he won in a championship fight that he may never ever get to see again. It's stealing a piece of history from him.
Well, just because it's all about money. So if he's the face of boxing at the time, or one of the faces of boxing at the time, it's very unlikely he's going to lose.
It's a fact.
Or anybody for that, and that's for any sport.
It's a money thing. It's almost always about money.
Yeah, it always is. It always is. So, I mean, you think he's the best defensive boxer you've seen?
Well, when Roy Jones Jr. was fighting, he had another guy who had outrageous speed offensively and defensively. And people used to ask me, is Roy the best ever? I said, I don't know because I've never seen him get hit clean. And then Lou DeVal hit him with an uppercut and dropped him, but never hit him again. Then as he got a little older, he started getting hit clean with shots and get knocked out. One shot knocked out like 2 or 3 times and then quit. Because he's not that tough. He was good. He was great. He wasn't just good. He was great. I would never put great in my as myself. I never say I'm great, but I was very good. I was damn good. And you know what? You had to beat my ass to beat me. Because it was always going to be a fight. But at the same time, again, if you're not tough, there's an issue. I always have an issue with it.
Who did we say? I've only seen Floyd get really popped. Who beat the brakes off him pretty well?
We said De La Hoya.
De La Hoya gave him some.
There was someone else.
I'll tell you what.
Mosley. Was it Mosley?
I watched the De La Hoya fight.
Sugar Shane.
I watched
Mosley. He got some hits on him.
I watched the De La Hoya fight. I thought De La Hoya outworked him. I thought De La Hoya beat him. No. But that's just me. Again, De La Hoya had been beaten by that time. So now there wasn't 2 undefeated guys. There was only 1 undefeated guy. So that's the guy who has to stay undefeated from the promotional aspect of the game. That's money. That's where it goes.
And I guess it makes sense. What he's saying is, you could have a rabbit that's quick, right? A rabbit constantly moving around, can't get caught. Rabbit gets older, rabbit gets slower. If the rabbit's not tough, the rabbit's dead.
Yep.
Yeah. But he wears you out.
If the rabbit's tough,
now you can win.
Then you could, it's I guess a good analogy kind of,
Right. So like Bobby, like he's tough. He could take a punch. He's got the endurance. He's got all that. So now if you went in with Floyd, right, he's going to try to wear you out because he's not trying to take a Bobby punch. So he's going to be bouncing all around. But you'd be able to stand.
See, here's the thing. He's not just bouncing around. He's not just making.
He's getting points.
He's getting points, and he's wearing you down by your body absorbing those punches.
That's right.
So he's a slick fighter, great speed. I mean, one of the best of all time.
I guess my question is, I'm not a boxer, but watch boxing. I think it's changed. I don't like it as much as I did years ago. But every match, your opponent it's a different strategy almost, right? I mean, you're a tough as nails guy, but the other guy may be just quick moving. So you got to figure out that strategy against him, and he's got to figure out that strategy against you, right? Am I right? Or
every fighter's different.
Yeah.
Every fighter has different assets and deficits. So you have to plot your plan for him. That's what we do with sparring. We'll have sparring partners. Like if you're fighting a southpaw, you don't want a sparring partner who's not a southpaw.
Yeah.
You want a sparring partner who's a southpaw. So you're going to have to go out of your way to get one. And sometimes it's a little more difficult, not that easy. But it is impossible for even a southpaw sparring partner to imitate the actual style of the southpaw you're going to be fighting because you're not him.
Yeah.
It's not him. So every individual is different. We're like the snowflakes. No two are the same. So it can't be perfect, but it's as close as you can get.
One last question about Floyd. If you were to fight him, how would you approach him to beat him?
Oh, Floyd's a tough guy to beat. You have to press him constantly, but you also have to be able – see, here's the thing. You also have to be quick enough reflexively to make him miss sometimes.
So he's not stacking up them points, right?
Make him miss sometimes and then make him pay. Slip his jab and hit him with the right hand. Even on the inside, almost subconsciously, when you throw a jab and you get hit, you stop throwing that punch. He stops jabbing, his fight's over. So what I would try and do is that, but again, easier said than done. I might more times than not, I might be eating the jab, in which case I can't hit him with the right hand.
Right. So you think if you could get a hit in,
if I get some hits in and I would work his body.
You'd shake him and throw him off his map.
Try to take his legs out from under him. If you hurt somebody to the body, they won't move as much.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just won't. Because they can't.
Well, that's the toolkit how to beat Floyd, if you can do it.
That's just it. I can tell you how to beat anybody.
But can you do it?
Can you do it?
Yeah, can you get to him? Can
you do it on that day against that man who's trained to do the same thing to you?
Right. Yeah. Very good.
And we'll be hitting you.
And we'll be hitting you. Right. And it might take 8 rounds to get that opening where by the time you're chasing Speedy Gonzalez, you're a little bit worn out and you don't have quite the pack that you did in round 2, 3, and 4 while you're running after Speedy.
Exactly.
Did you watch the Tyson Roy Jones fight?
I did not.
Didn't you?
Well, you know why? They called it an exhibition.
Well, I can tell you this. Mike let him stand up. We watched the end of it.
Well, we know that. Listen, watch this. Now,
I thought Roy was going to be a top because Roy was fighting overseas the whole time. Irrelevant.
Who overseas did he fight that had a reputation?
Right. Good point.
Of whatever. I'll give you a quick breakdown. This is how it works. As Roy got to slow down a little bit, as he got a little older, and he got hit, he got knocked out 3 times in a row with one shot. You're telling me those younger guys that weigh 190, 178, they hit harder than Mike Tyson? Give me a break.
I don't think so.
Mike didn't even throw full out. That was part of the rules. This was just a money-making scheme. It was an exhibition. Who did they say won at the end of the fight? Draw.
So that then they
It
could
was
do
an
another one.
exhibition.
Yeah.
No, it's not so they could do another one. That's an exhibition. It was an exhibition going in. It wasn't a fight. It was an exhibition going in.
Just to make money, yeah. Because he was holding them up at the end. Remember, I mean, he was keeping them alive.
Exactly. That's my point. There's no way you're going to stop that steamroller from coming through you.
Now, are Holyfield and Tyson going to fight? They keep saying they are. They keep saying they're not. He says he's going to eat his kids and shit. Like he's back to crazy Mike again. I love the guy though.
Right, but that's what they like.
That's what they
the
like.
Public likes.
Yeah, right.
Public likes the crazy Mike.
We need it back though because boxing sucks right now.
Well,
from a viewer
Okay, yeah.
standpoint.
Deontay Wilder's his myth is going after Tyson Fury beat him so many times. You can only see. Here's the thing.
There's no good heavyweight.
Well, watch this. I watched the first Tyson Fury fight with Deontay Wilder. They called it a draw. That was a joke. Wilder got beat, even though he dropped him. He lost so many rounds, it was ridiculous. But here's what happened in getting dropped. Tyson Fury, who not tough either, he learned that Deontay Wilder isn't tough, and that he could push him further earlier, and then knock his ass out. But he learned it the first time. And I told a friend of mine, he said, who should I bet on? I said, if I'm right, Tyson Fury learned this lesson, he'll knock him out before so-and-so round. My friend bet like $5,000 on it. Easiest 5,000 he ever made.
And that's because he knows now that he can go in on him early.
Yep, he knows that he can go in on him anytime he wants, and he's not that big a puncher that he can hurt him and keep him on the floor, and that he's not that tough. See, he gives the impression of being tough. Big, 6'7". Well, he's 7 feet. The other guy's 6'10" or whatever, 7 feet tall practically. I mean, it's a big guy.
Right, and now he's already felt the hit, so he knows what kind of punch he's going to take if he goes in.
But he also understood somewhere during the course of the fight, and I said if he understands what I did, because I saw that Tyson Fury was hurting him with shots that were not that big. But that was just my opinion, but it was
Yeah,
right.
when I watched that, I didn't see like the pay-per-view. I watched it after, like later when I was, just, did you see it?
He made him go night-night, and he hit him. But that's the only thing. I think, for me, watching boxing, remembering Lennox Lewis, I'm not that old, but, the Evander Holyfield, the Mike Tysons. I was a Bernard Hopkins fan, love Bernard Hopkins. Like, boxing doesn't have, to me, and I argue with my wife's uncle all the time. He's a huge boxing head, loves boxing. He'll sit here and text me, all the fights coming up, these guys, that. I just feel like boxing doesn't, like Tyson Fury, I like him. He's showboat. It's fun. It's Hollywood. He comes out with a skit when he comes out, like you're watching Rocky almost when he comes out. But, like, boxing's like missing, and maybe you can. I'll ask you this: is there too many weight classes almost? Like, is there too much?
No. See, you misinterpreted something. I knew it was coming.
Go.
I saw it coming a mile away.
Go.
Not too many weight classes. Too many world championship sanctioning bodies. Used to be just the WBA, but some people got close to the WBA years ago. This is 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. People got too close to them, and they would fix. So some of these guys would fix fights. So then the WBC said, "Oh, we'll keep the WBA in line because we'll judge too." So then they decided to start taking the bribes too. So they both got rich. So then the IBF decided, "Oh, we'll keep both you bad guys in check by being the third wing." Then there's the WBU. Then there's the NBA. Then there's the WBF. Then there's like 8 sanctioning bodies now. So for all purposes, you're champion of 1/8 of the heavyweight division. Even if you beat the best fighters.
Too saturated? Too much?
That's it. That's the word. It's too saturated. Pretty soon it's going to be, well, he's the champ of Fifth Avenue in Newark.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nothing. It means nothing.
Because remember when you were fighting and Tyson and Holyfield,
There was 3 titles.
we all waited for that. We would all, whose house is going to be at.
Even at that, though, even with the 3 titles, anybody who had a title didn't want to risk it.
Right.
I mean, I wanted to risk it. I just couldn't get anybody to do it. I couldn't get anybody to face me. But, I mean, whether I'd won or lost is irrelevant. I would have put it on the table immediately. Tried twice.
Right, you were willing to give somebody a chance to take it from you.
Well,
Come on.
the other one, the other men with belts
Mm-hmm.
didn't care.
Yeah.
I just can't.
That's what it is, though. It's the saturation. You're getting you're getting inundated with too much garbage.
Yeah, I just can't get into boxing like I did when I was younger. I'm UFC. I watch.
It's a different sport. You can't. It's a different sport.
But I wish I had that love for like I did for boxing when I was younger. The only guy that really was, Tyson Fury. I like him. He's more of a showboat type for me. But I like that Teofimo Lopez.
I've read about him. I haven't really.
He's a trash talker too. He talks a little.
Who's
bit.
the middleweight, the redhead kid? Alvarez.
Yeah, I think so. And then you got Canelo.
He's pretty good.
He can fight.
He can fight.
He can fight.
But it's not exciting, though. For me, it's not.
Yeah.
And I box, too.
Here's the funny thing. And I used to say this all the time. If I have a fight and it starts at 10:30, I want to be done by 10:31. I don't need to be flashy and put on a show. I fought a guy named Schoolboy Baker. And I didn't knock him out in a minute. I knocked him out in 30 seconds. I was thrilled.
I would be, too.
I didn't even shower after that fight.
You can go home and get laid without a shower after a fight.
There you go.
You couldn't pick a better fight, right? Now, that's your favorite fight.
Well, it's not my favorite.
I'm just
but
kidding.
It was just one, and it was one of those things where it was a situation where I hit him and I stood him up, and as I hit him again, his mouthpiece got loose and it got stuck in his throat, and I hit him, and he went down, and that was it. He just couldn't breathe, so they had to come and wake him, get him to have somebody pull that out of his, and it was just a bad set of circumstances.
Bobby, I was boxing Golden Gloves for New York. I got Pennsylvania and Jersey, and it was in New York. I was done for. No way I was going to win. I had to knock him out, but my grandfather was still alive at the time, and I looked over, and he was kind of like your dad type of guy, like
a hard ass.
For instance, if I got knocked out and I lost, when I went home, I was getting beat. I was getting beat. Yeah, no, I would get beat again.
No,
and that was the same thing in high school.
That's old school.
If I came home with the black guy from high school, I'd get beat up again. Why'd you lose?
Well, here's the thing. If I come home with a black eye, the other guy had to have worse.
Yeah.
He had to have worse.
Yeah, I would get the question sometimes, what the other guy looked like. And on that, you want to hear a funny story? This has nothing to do with why you're here, but it's kind of funny. So I come home, I had a black eye, and my grandfather, I said, what does the other guy look like? Way worse than this, but really, I was the one who took the beating. And I don't know how he knew, but he goes, okay. And the kid had football practice, because it was, how like everybody's waiting for the bus and shit. So everybody crowds around, and we go at it. And I took a beating, even though at the time I had 2 Golden Gloves. It was just a bad day, bad time, and I underestimated the little prick. Because I'm thinking, I'm not even trying, and he just got me, and then the teachers came in. It was a mess. So my grandfather puts me in the car and drives me back, goes out onto the stadium looking for the kid, and the kid didn't even have a mark. And then guess what happened when I got home? It wasn't good.
I got a story like that for you. My brother got in a fight with a kid, and my grandmothers were visiting my grandmother in the neighborhood. We used to play with him and hang out with these kids, and a black kid. And he beat my brother up pretty good, and I was there, and I didn't interfere because they were the same age, pretty much the same size. I was never allowed to interfere. He's got to do it for himself. And he beat my brother Vince up pretty bad. And we went back, in the house. When my dad came home, he goes, "Oh, what happened here?" And he says, he looked at me and he goes, "How'd it go?" I said, "That was a fair fight, Dad. He lost." He told my brother, he said, "You're going to train for 2 weeks. Had in the backyard, did this, that, pads, this, that." And he said, "Now you're going to go knock on that boy's door, and whether his mother or his father answers the door, you tell him, I want your son to get out. I want your son to come down here. I'm going to kick his ass." And I remember walking with my brother when he had to do this, and I said, "Oh my God, this has got to be ugly." So my brother knocks on the door, and his mother answered the door and said, "What do you want?" And he said, I want to see Jimmy. I want to fight Jimmy again." He said, "Didn't he kick your ass once, white boy?" He said, "Yeah, but he's going to have to kick you twice." She said, "Jimmy's white boy wants to fight with you again." And she said to me, she said, you have nothing to do with this." I said, "No, I don't, ma'am. I'm making sure nobody bothers either one of them."
1-on-1.
And my brother beat the starch out of that boy.
Beat the brakes off of him, huh?
And they were best friends for the rest of the next 2-3 years that we hung out together. And No, but see, that's old school. Old days. If you had a fight, you shook hands.
And it's over with.
Shook hands, and you both went to the ice cream.
It was like that when I was growing up.
Yeah, you both went to the ice cream man. And both got a cone.
Yeah, we got a snow cone. That's what I swear to God we would do that.
Yeah, that's what we use. And the same thing.
We'd have fights all the time, and then we would go. And then the ice cream truck would come and be like, "All right, fuck the fight. Let's go. Hey, can I borrow 5 cents? I know you just gave me a clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And today they go home and get a 9mm.
Well, that's what's changed.
Or an iPad.
That's what I think that's changed within the past, I don't know, I'd say even 10 to 15 years is, listen, there's extremes to everything, right? There's always an extreme. So your dad beat you, whatever, but made a man out of you, right? You can say one way or the other. People would say, well, that's a little too crazy. Maybe it's not too crazy. But
it worked.
You got to teach your kids to stand up for themselves. If they get picked on, you can't just tuck your tail and run the other way because you're like a deer sitting there in the middle of a field getting ready to be slaughtered.
He's got a good saying. Bobby's got a good saying, but that picture would have got perfect. YouTube when I liked everything on it.
Perfect segue, though. I was in 8th grade, and there was this one kid. It was in school, but he was born with a little bit of a deficiency, and he wasn't tough. And people used to pick on him. And one time somebody was picking on him, just kept picking on him and taking his stuff and too much, and I punched him in the face.
Now to me, that's a real. I think that's a real man.
But I said to him, listen, I'm not jumping on you now. I'll let you get better. You get better. Let's walk out. No, I don't want anything to do with you. Why do you keep picking on him? Well, because I can. Well, I can do that to you all day, just because I can. I leave him alone. At the same time, I was approached the next day from another kid in the same class. He said, why don't you do that for me? You pick on me all the time. I said, because you don't fight back for yourself. This kid did. This kid tried with all he had. He doesn't have anything. You're not born handicapped like this kid.
You got a good heart, man.
I just don't like it. I can't.
But that's a good heart because you see a kid getting picked on. You know it ain't right. And he's trying.
Well, see, that's it. He was trying with all he had, and the kid was laughing at him and smacking him in the face, and the kid couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was actually proud of my younger son a few weeks, maybe over a month ago now. It's a boy in his class that, you call him a nerd, whatever you want to call the kid, he is. And doesn't bother us all. Real nice kid. And my son said to me, this kid kept going up behind him and slapping the back of his neck. So what'd you do? He said the kid started crying, because he can't fight back. He's just one of those kids. He said, so I took him and I shoved him, and he fell over the desk, the other kid. And the teacher came in and saw the kid on the ground and yelled at my son, and my son said, no, he's smacking him in the back of the head. I pushed him because he's doing it. Teacher said, okay. I was shocked.
Wow.
I thought the teacher was going to have.
I thought you were going to be getting called in.
Yeah, I was going to say these days that doesn't happen.
But the teacher let it go, and I said to my son, I said, I'm proud of you for that because you don't let other people get picked on. The ones, like you said, the ones that can't fight for themselves. There are some that just choose not to fight back, but. If you're picking on a kid,
well, like you said, like the kid gave all he had and he just kept getting it.
But if parents would teach their kids to do stuff like that, we wouldn't have to worry about bullying and wearing orange for bowling day. And
wait 20 years, right?
So here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, do you know why history keeps repeating itself? Because mankind doesn't really change that much.
Yeah.
Doesn't really change that much. It's going to be bullies. There's going to be idiots. There's going to be smart people. There's going to be people that you just can't stand.
But the problem is now they're taking away the right, basically, to defend yourself. They're taking away the right for parents to be parents because now it's, okay, I even do it with my daughter. I don't like to do it. She's one, but what do? You give her an iPad so she calms down. Now they're addicted to the iPad. Now their whole life is iPad.
Well, that's just it. If you drive past one of those stores with a little cafe, you'll find 6 people they're on. Yeah.
I hate social media more than I hate social media as much as anyone else hates it as I do. I just use it for business. That's it. I don't like it.
My daughter lives in South Carolina, so I haven't seen her in a little while. And I called her up and I said, don't get the vaccine. She said, I'm not, Dad. I'm not getting it. I said, I don't care if they come to the door. Don't get it. She goes, Dad, I carry a gun. Oh, God, no shit. I didn't know that.
You're like, okay, sweetheart. Well, I think you're going to be okay, honey.
She's good, yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
So now you do a lot of things for charity. I saw a lot of things that you do for charity.
I did over the years, especially when I was fighting and I was, a little healthier with the back and stuff. But, March of Dimes is my favorite charity. I call them the champions of life because they're born without a single solitary chance to have a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
No, and the God stuff in or out, I don't care.
That's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
Right?
It's irrelevant. If God allowed it, shame on him. And if he didn't do it, well, sorry for that kid. But here's the thing. If you're born without arms or you're born without legs, you have. If you imagine, I had a kid come up to me. This is at a March of Dimes. I was there with a date, and the kid came up to me with two metal hands and the hooks, and he said, "Oh, Mr. Czyz, could I?" And he was so lit up, like charisma, like you can't believe. And I just gave him an autograph, and I signed it, and he walked away from me. And a piece of me, he took a piece of my heart with him. When I went home that night, dropped my date off, and she said, "You've been off all night." I said, "That kid just he did something to me." I went home. I probably for 20 minutes I cried, for him and for me. For him because if his greatest dream was to be me, it was ripped from him at birth. And for me, that I was born healthy, and I went on to make my dream come true. I can't imagine how people, even the parents is the worst thing. Now, here's the thing. When my wife got pregnant, I researched and sent her to the person who invented amniocentesis. It was an Oriental guy in California. I wanted to make sure the baby was going to be healthy. I knew what it was. I knew it was a girl because I timed her menstrual cycle to have a girl first because she wanted a girl. And it works. It's kind of funny, but I saved the notes from 1980 in high school.
Wait, you timed to have a girl versus a boy?
It works every time.
Get the fuck out of here.
So watch this. If a woman has a steady cycle, like my wife was every 28 days, like clockwork, like there'll be days that I would say, "Good morning, honey," and she would yell at me, and I go, "Honey, you're on the clock." and she would look and she would go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But I could tell when she was going through a period. So would you have a hotel rented and ready to go every 28th of the month? No. Here's the thing, though. In high school, I learned that sperm cells, the female sperm cells, travel real slow, but they live 72 to 96 hours. Male sperm cells travel much more quickly, but they die in 24 to 48 hours. They're gone. So if she's going to menstruate on the 28th day, whether that's the 13th of the month or the 1st of the month, in her menstrual cycle, it's that day. So the day of and the day before will be a boy. 2 or 3 days before, it'll be a girl because all the male sperm cells will be dead by that time.
Interesting.
By the time that she ovulates. And I said to her, "Now watch this." So I said, "Okay, I want a boy first. I want 2 boys. I want a boy, girl. So we fool around on the boy day. And unfortunately, 3 weeks later, she miscarried. And she was brokenhearted.
Sorry to hear that, Bobby.
And I flipped out. Thank you. And I said, "Look, don't worry about it." I knew she wanted a girl first. I said, "Look, we'll wait 2 months. Let your body heal. We'll flip the notes around." The notes happened the day it turned on. It was like Thanksgiving Day. And I had a house full of people. They're all sleeping in the bedrooms upstairs. And
this fucking guy.
So I said, she goes, "Listen, let's do this." She said, "I don't even want to enjoy it. Just hurry." I said, "I'm allowed to have sex in my own house."
Yeah, fuck these people, right?
Oh, it was our families.
Oh, wow.
It was both of our moms, my stepdad, her sister, and my brothers and my.
Hey, look, the notes say what the notes say.
Right, and so we did it. I said, "Congratulations, it's a girl." She said, "Stop doing that. You're jinxing me." "I'm not jinxing you. I'm telling you what it is." So I send it for the amnio, and she calls me back all excited. I said, "What is it?" She says, "It's a girl, and it's 100% healthy."
And there's Mercedes, right?
There's Mercedes.
So if you want a boy, you hit her off the day before the period and the day of.
Right, because here's the thing, because when the day of and the day before, because that's when she ovulates.
That's when the egg comes down.
Right, when it comes down. So the day of and the day before, it's 89 to 95% accuracy. Those are the numbers. I mean, I even memorized the numbers. That's how sick I am. But yeah, those sperm cells predominantly will be the only ones that get there because the other ones are moving too slow, but they live real long. So if you do it the day after, or 2 days after, those will be the only things that are alive to get there.
It's interesting.
Yeah, worked.
Well, if that situation ever were to occur again, I'll be sure prior or of.
Give me a call.
So what are you up to now, Bobby? What are you doing nowadays?
I'm going to actually... Oh, this is funny. Bare knuckle boxing is legal again.
Really?
Bare knuckle. I mean bare knuckle.
I had a friend that used to, but they in New York, he called it street fighting.
Company
Like
called
real street.
Valor BK.
That's crazy.
Valor Bare Knuckle Boxing. I'm going to be working with them. And end of January, early February is going to be our first fight. And so I'll be doing that again. Beside that, I was in semi-retirement on disability pension from the car accident and some other things that went wrong. And doing what I do, just whatever, sometimes people want speeches about this or that, motivational speeches. They want some talks about boxing, talks about different things. And I'm a little bit versatile with wherever they want to go. I just research. So if I do a motivational speech, I have to research the subject, but then I have to equate it to something I know, or I can't come from any sense of validity. And everybody wants you to have, your experience in something. Can't do it all, but I can make a reference to it.
Have you written a book? Have you written a book?
No, I thought about it, and I just don't want to do it. I had somebody write a script. I have my life story about my movie. My life story to be written into a movie twice. Sold the rights. They never got around to it. So 18 months later, the rights come back to me. I keep the money that they put up. So whatever.
Okay, but you don't want a book? I mean, you definitely got a story, man. I mean, you dodged death.
Yeah, I dodged a few things.
A lot of things. Yeah.
But one day, who knows? Maybe when I get a little older.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying,
I'll
too.
be 60 in 2 months.
Yeah. I thought you were 28.
Yeah, me too.
I got a question. Who, in your career, who was the mouth, like the trash talker, the guy you couldn't hate that was just out there just running his mouth? There's always that one boxer.
Diamond Jim McDonald. Yeah. He drove me nuts. He came to town and they always said, Bobby who? Like, because I had the title at the time in 1987, and he was coming into Atlantic City to allegedly take. Here's another thing. He's a born-again Christian. Now, he's the second one I fought that told him that God told me I'm going to be the light heavyweight champion of the world. So at the press conference, it pissed a few people off, but I said, look, no offense, but I'm kicking God's ass on Saturday. And I knocked him out.
How did the press like that?
No, they didn't like
that. They went crazy, right?
Well, you can't. It's sacrilegious. No, it's not if you don't believe.
But I'm saying the press went nuts with it.
No, but I'm saying that they all tell me it's sacrilegious. They all got aggravated with me.
Yeah.
I said, look.
Any publicity is good publicity.
I said, he brought God in. I just pushed him aside.
How much though? Like when I watch, like you watch it, Tommy, you see like the weigh-ins. You got the weigh-in right, and then we square up right.
Well,
how much of it is like just
a lot of it's publicity.
Yeah. Some
of the bad talk, the bad mouth stuff, and the trash talking is bad publicity. But some guys just want to intimidate you. I mean, I can't be intimidated. I did the work to get here.
Sure.
Let's do it. I talk with my hands in the ring, not my mouth.
I just can't imagine, like we talked about it before. Can you imagine the stare down with Mike Tyson? Like, I think I would just be like, I'd be looking, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to look away, and I'd be like, and you're a different person than me, but I can't.
I had no problem staring down Holyfield. I had no problem.
That's awesome.
Well, he's a champion. We're not champions.
Correct. Yeah, we're far.
I have a necklace with 2 golden gloves on it, not a fucking champion. So I look at you, I could see, I mean, you got them death eyes,
Here's the thing.
You're like a teddy bear, but you could see, don't fight. You got that jaw, like you could tell me.
You've heard of mind over matter?
Yeah.
I don't mind because you don't matter.
That's good.
And it's a little tilt, a little different, twitch to it, but.
Yeah, you don't matter, I'm going to knock your ass out.
Well, here's the thing: you have in a one-on-one sport. See, if you're the greatest basketball player ever, but you don't have a team, you're still gonna have troubles. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a team built around you that are competent.
Right.
Same with football. Same with baseball. Same with every team sport. I live and die on me, on what I did to get in shape, what I did to execute. I live and die with me. All of it comes here.
Because you could have the best trainer, but you still got to do the work.
You still got to do the work and perform on fight day. There are a lot of different things that go on. I mean, I've seen guys literally get knocked out of training camp because of women. That doesn't make sense. Is it really worth that? Is it really worth it? Was she that beautiful that you had to get knocked out for that?
Yeah. And like I when I was talking to you last night, to me, I thought Lennox Lewis just went south because he got Hollywood. He went Hollywood. Because nobody could get through that jab for a while there.
Well, he was also getting older, and it was his time. He made enough money. It was his time. I don't know.
But I thought when he lost, I thought he was still who was the first one to beat him when he was the champ? Because this is like my age.
Oliver McCall, friend of mine, knocked him out in the second round.
Is that who it was?
Yep, one right hand.
Yeah, because it wasn't a big name.
Oliver wasn't big at that time.
And he was doing a movie, right? Lennox was, or he had just finished the movie and really didn't train.
I don't know, but he came back and beat Oliver in the rematch.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, he didn't train right because he was doing that movie. He came in just thinking he would just jab.
And then he got knocked out again with one shot by, I forget the guy's name now. I forget the fighter's name. That car accident, I have some memory problems.
Yeah, but that Hollywood, I think messed him up. And age, you think, or just what?
Stuff happens.
That's it, right?
Stuff happens. That's it.
What's one last thing? Because I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
What's
you got the champion here, man.
What's the change that you've seen, whether it be good or bad, from boxing nowadays to when you boxed? Like the difference in maybe training, the difference in
training isn't that significant. Most of the training is still similar, if not almost the same. There may be some new gadgets or new procedures that they've learned, because from when I fought back to the 30s and 40s, it was different. And just in diet, like the guys would eat a steak. Steak's the worst thing you can eat for a fight. It can give you any energy, no carbohydrates, nothing. Just protein that's going to sit in your stomach for 45 minutes. You want a baked potato, you want some complex carbohydrates, not the simple stuff like sugar, like a candy bar, things like that. But fighters today have to deal with, the one thing they do get is they get like 7 different shots of getting a title. Years ago, it was only 3. And years ago, it was only 1. So everything evolves, and it evolves around money.
Yep. How many shots do you think you should get? How many shots do you think it should be?
You mean how many different titles?
Yeah.
I would like to say 1, but the rules would have to be so significantly altered and adhered to that people would be stripped of titles all the time for not wanting to fight somebody. Because there are tough guys. Like, no one that had a world title has ever want to fight Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And yet some guys who don't care would fight him just for the money. Like some people say, wow, for $80 million, I'd fight him. Well, for $80 million, what did you do to earn the right to get there? You didn't do anything. No one's going to pay to see you.
Yeah, I think 3. I think 3 or 4.
3 is better.
3, but still, that'd be a hell of a lot of overhaul.
It's
it's just different. It's not like Rob was saying. It's not like it used to be. What'd you eat the day before your fight? The day before the fight, what would you eat?
I'd eat a complex carbohydrates, nice pasta or some baked potatoes, but I wouldn't eat too much protein or too much meat, because you don't need it. My body would be so leaned out that when after the fight was over, we would go to a restaurant, fancy place or something in the casinos. It would go right through you because your body was so cleaned out from everything being lean.
Yeah, you shock your body and you shit yourself to death, right?
There you go.
You're on the shitter for, yeah.
And at your time, I'm amazed by this.
We're big boxing
fans.
fans.
Who was like the number one trainer? Like who was the guy that everyone wanted to be there? Like who was that guy?
There is no such thing as a number one trainer. I'll give you an example. The guy who trained Tyson, Customato. Customato was not a good trainer in general.
Really?
He was only a good trainer for people who were short for their weight. Jose Torres, Floyd Patterson, Mike Tyson. He tried to train Jerry Cooney once, who was 6'5". He almost got Jerry Cooney killed in the gym. His sparring partners were beating him because he taught him this: peekaboo. Put your hands up.
Yeah.
You're a 6'5" guy. You don't want to do peekaboo down here. You want to be up here and setting people up, uppercuts, left hooks. It's different. Now, my trainer, Tommy Parks, I think was unique because he took every fighter he looked at, what does he do well, what does he not do well? How do I improve the not do well? How do I polish the do well and make it stay even better and sharper? Georgie Benton, he trained everybody, pretty much out of the peekaboo too. There were other guys that were training people. Gil Clancy was in for a while, but he started to get old. He was broadcasting. I didn't pay attention to the trainers because I had what I had, and I was good to go with where I was. I didn't really want it.
Yeah.
Didn't really pay attention to them as that much. But there were a lot of other trainers that were Teddy Atlas is also a good trainer.
Yeah, Teddy Atlas.
So you had some guys that were good.
I guess it's right match. Like it's like.
But here's the thing. Let's just say you're the best trainer that ever lived, and you don't come across the talent of any talent that there needs to be a world champion.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard you try to train an inferior person, you're not going to make a world champion out of them.
And I guess it's just matching, right? Like if Tom Brady and Bill Belichick never got together, maybe, who knows, right? I mean, they were the perfect match, those two. And they won how many Super Bowls? I mean, they both are good in their own spots, but.
I take it your second favorite sport's football.
Football, yeah. I was big. I'm a huge Green Bay Packer fan.
All right.
From the old days with my grandfather with Paul Hornung and Bart Starr and that far back into the '60s when I was little.
Long time ago, boy.
Yeah. But
that's all fucked up too. Now you got the Washington. I fall over when they say that. So they announce them. You know, it's the New York Jets versus the Washington team.
Washington football team.
Is that what they say? The Washington football team. Drives me nuts.
You know what? People got to get over themselves.
They really do.
They can take anything as an insult. Why not take it as a compliment? Turn it around.
What was the other thing they did, Rob? They changed the label on that Omni. What the hell is that? It's been around forever, Bobby. Do you know what I'm talking about? Bob, what is that Omni?
Well, Aunt Jemima.
Aunt Jemima.
Oh, Aunt Jemima.
They changed that.
Because it's racist.
Because it's racist, yep.
Aunt Jemima happened to be black. Now, I'm pretty sure she probably cooked pancakes okay.
I would think so.
Why would that be racist?
Why would Washington Redskins be racist when you don't hear any Indian saying anything? They're probably happy they were called the fucking Redskins.
Well, they had something to identify with in the professional football league. At least somebody representing them, maybe.
So, when you look at this, Bobby, you say, well, now you just took from...
No, you don't understand. I think a great deal of this has to do with influences. You know, the critical race theory, the shit that they're teaching in school.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
It's terrible.
I'm privileged just because I was white. I was poor. I was born poor. I had black kids who had a lot more than me. A lot more than me. Didn't change. We were friends.
Everything now is racist. It's, are you red? Are you blue? Are you this? Are you that?
You know what it is? It's the 40-year conditioning process they need to put in place, and toward the end of that 40 years, they start to move it big time and put it out in the public's view. One world order wants to be done. That's what they're trying to do here, trying to make this socialist into communism.
Mm-hmm.
Poor people and rich people and no middle class.
That's right.
And nobody with a chance to dethrone, allegedly, the elites.
And you divert, you diverse, and you separate, and you control. And then you know what happens then.
Well,
it's over.
They're separating us. They keep, I remember one of my friends saying that, wait a minute, my kid goes to school. He's a little younger than me. He said, my kid goes to school, and somehow he's the bad guy just because he's white. How does that sound? How does that make any sense even?
You know, it is, but that's what they're doing purposefully. You know what I mean? There's a thing called The Social Dilemma. It's a documentary. I think you'd find it really interesting if you haven't seen it. How Google, Facebook, all these social media influences, they all purposefully shoot things your way.
Well, just like the news.
And they're building a fucking robot.
70% of the news is a propaganda.
Of course it is.
Exhibition. I mean, it's an agenda of something to make the people think, not tell them what happened, adjust their thought process with regard to what might have happened.
Or just like you said earlier, they alter things so that you believe what they want you to believe. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned another situation similar to that earlier on.
It's the way it is. It's the way it's become anyway. But oddly enough, I think Donald Trump and the U.S. Army, they have made some. You know what he did when he did a little world tour in 2016 or 2017? Did that little world tour? Saw Kim Jong-un.
You mean the guy that he called Rocket Man and said, "No, I'll go meet him."
Yep.
Just me and him. I'll go meet him. I don't need Secret Service. Fuck him. And
everybody-
you know what? And King Jong-un respected the shit out of him for
Yep.
that. That's
He could-
big with
he-
those countries.
He did not. Nobody believed that he did that. They were like, you can't. You're not going to come back.
So now, Bobby, if somebody wants to get a hold of you to speak or anything like that, how can they get a hold of you?
That's a good question. Bobby at bobbyczyz.com
Okay.
is my email address. You go to Bobby at bobbyczyz.com, and you can send me an email. And with your digits, I'll call you directly. Go from there. You can look for me again as Valor BK. It's Valor with the V, BK boxing. Excuse me, bare knuckle. That's gonna be the boxing I'm gonna start doing soon. So I'm sure that they're gonna have a channel or a way to get a hold of me too. But
Yeah, we're gonna try to look it up now for you. and you're gonna be commentating that. That's what you're gonna be doing.
I'll be the expert analyst for bare knuckle, which will be. And now here's the thing though: the bare knuckle is different because the gloves are a factor with regard to punching power. Your punching power doesn't have to be as much as a bare knuckle because the bare knuckles, a little speed, they cut you and you swell up immediately.
Oh yeah.
And they even have women that do this, which I was shocked at.
There it is. Ken Shamrock's in it?
Ken Shamrock is one of the promoters. Yep.
I love Ken Shamrock.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Go up to about, so it's called VALORBK.
Valor Bare Knuckle.
And
Founded by Ken Shamrock. There it is. I love Ken Shamrock.
read that, Rob, please, for people who are just listening.
Valor Bare Knuckle is a well-organized, true bare-knuckle professional sport that has been founded by Ken Shamrock, a UFC and Wrestling Hall of Famer. At its core, Valor BK is a media company that creates exciting sports entertainment content by securing and promoting bare-knuckle bouts. But Valor Bare Knuckle, founded upon a purpose over profit principle of economic, social, and cultural stewardship. Valor BK is committed to preserving the purity of bare-knuckle boxing and passing that immersive experience to the audience by showcasing the God-given talents of fighters worldwide through safer but faster, more exhilarating bare-knuckle bouts.
I'm surprised they're letting this happen.
Wow, look at that. There he is, Ken Shamrock, man.
Yep.
There he is. Wow, look at that.
We have an opportunity to enhance the great sport of boxing, compete with MMA as the fastest growing sport in the world.
It's almost a throwback to the old days where boxing came from in the first place.
Yeah, street fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who used to street fight, like down in like basements. He used to street fight.
I didn't do that. My street fight just happened.
Yeah. No, these were set up ones. All right, Bobby. So I'll have all that in the description for you, man. It's been a blast to you with the
It's been
champ.
good. It's been
Man,
great.
Sitting across from the champ is the shit, man.
Anytime I can help, I'll come. You just have me on.
I'll definitely be having you back because I want to go. I want to go deep.
All right.
And the wormhole that you and us three will go in for 5 fucking hours. But first, I got to talk boxing. Next time you come in,
No problem.
we already did the boxing. Now we go down the wormhole.
You got it.
Thank you for your time, Bobby, and congratulations on being a champion, being a good man with a good heart, helping out kids. I wish the best for you and your family.
My pleasure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bobby.
All right.